Well, hello and welcome back to the Confused Breakfast. Do you remember the pure joy of a trip to the video rental store as a kid?
Oh, no, sir.
It's hard to beat the ease of the modern era and streaming platforms where you don't even have to leave your couch. But there was something truly special about heading to Blockbuster to pick out a movie by hand to take home and enjoy with fava beans and a nice Chianti. On this podcast, we revisit and dissect some of our favorite childhood movies from that magical era to see if they still move us the way they did as kids. My name is Mike Schulte. Joining me, as always, two dudes who enjoy a good game of quid pro quo. Sean Pryor and AJ Vance, how the heck are you?
It's just yes and.
That's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
He's really just a great improv guy.
Really.
He should be up there with like Amy Poehler and like Andy Richter.
He did.
You know?
He was going to be on Second City, and then he did the whole murder thing.
I think that's why he did the whole murder thing, because he didn't get it.
He did.
Yeah.
He was like, Second City. Now I'll make this my first city.
Don't want to go to the third city.
The third city. If you go down that road, you've gone too far, Clarice.
Well, boys, on today's episode, we discuss the 23rd highest rated movie of all time on IMDb, winner of 5 Oscars, becoming only the third film in history to win the Big 5 awards at the Oscars, the only horror film to win Oscar Best Picture.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a horror film.
It is. A movie that received full cooperation from the FBI as they saw it as a potential recruiting tool to hire more female agents. A movie released on Valentine's Day because of its romantic comedy vibes.
Totally.
We're, of course, talking about 1991's The Silence of the Lambs.
People will say we're in
Well,
love.
dang it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another nostalgic journey to the past with The Confused Breakfast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy wherever you are in the world. Take it away, boys.
Did you see the rom-com trailer that somebody cut on YouTube?
Of course. Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it's what the internet's for. I will go on record, the internet's the worst thing ever created, and we will look back on it as the death of human beings.
Okay.
But there are moments when it's like, ha.
Yeah.
And that rom-com trailer somebody spliced together of this movie is so worth it.
It's perfect.
It's so worth it.
Thank you to those who sent it to us over and over again. No, honestly, it did remind me to like send it to you guys and like send it to my girlfriend and my wife.
Oh,
Sorry.
there you go. No, I didn't see it. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, if you're new to the podcast, we're going to be reviewing The Silence of the Lambs scene by scene with a modern eye. In order to do that properly, we must first discuss it with pure nostalgia. AJ, I know you loved this movie as a kid. Tell us the first time you saw it, what your nostalgic rating was.
Let me tell you something about this movie, guys. Looking at you.
Oh, my God.
Not even close,
Fuck.
AJ. Oh, man. This was a movie. I didn't see this movie, guys.
Yeah. Are you?
I want to say something funny and clever, but it's just not going to happen.
You've
right
never
now.
seen this movie?
I've never seen this movie in its
Ooh.
entirety. Like it's one of those things, guys. It's an iconic movie, and like it's not like, oh, I don't want to watch this movie. It's like, no, I just don't really want to watch this movie. It's not my vibe of movie. I'm glad I thought about this long and hard. And I'm just going to do this as the guy who's seeing it for the first time, because I think that's the best perspective that I can give on this movie. So I'm a big NA.
Sean,
Okay.
what about you, bro?
What about me? I think that I would first watch this with my mom when I was a kid, and it was one of those movies that she showed me that she thought I could handle because it's, I don't know why actually, but she would walk me through it and like, oh, why are they putting the white stuff under their nose? Like, what is that for? And so she would just kind of walk me through it and like kind of coddle me through the violence and everything pretty much. But yeah, I mean, back then it was just like, wow, that was, I don't know. I don't know what to think. It was a thriller, I guess, a movie. I just wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yep.
at that time. So, yeah, I'm going to have to give this probably a 4.5.
Oh, geez. I saw it, appreciated it for what it was, but it was just, it went on too many borders for me. Like, it wasn't quite scary enough necessarily, but then the parts that were scary were too scary. But yet it was kind of boring because, like, I didn't follow the storyline. I didn't know what they were doing.
So
a lot
much.
of talking. lot of boring music, and there's a girl for a main character. I can't relate to this at all.
Why is she so short?
It was just, she is pretty short. I didn't realize how she's 5'3".
Apparently,
Yeah.
like they really take you through that on this movie.
It was a 6 for me the first time I saw it. We do have an executive producer on the show today, Starling.
There he is.
Starling says, let me start by saying that as someone who was in high school when The Silence of the Lambs came out, this movie was the equivalent of going viral before viral was even a thing. This and the Others 90s legend Home Alone were two movies that everyone saw as kids in high school and were talking about. But was it horror? A thriller? None of us really knew. It was just different, and it was just good. Easily a 9 for me back in 1991. Nice. So as a group, my friends, we are going to be a 6.5 nostalgically. We all know this doesn't matter at all, but we're still going to go ahead and say it. Fast forward, hit your 30-second skip button right now if you don't want to hear the nostalgic score. But a 6.5 is going to take us to a tie in 152nd spot with The Santa Claus, Home Alone, Basketball, Twister, Last Action Hero, Road Trip, Cliffhanger, Air Force One, Varsity Blues, Wet Hot American Summer.
Wow.
Jeez.
Total similar movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And all definitely probably have the same modern day score, too.
They were all on AMC Fear Fest back in the day.
They were,
yeah.
I feel like it is a stack of like movies that I would just have because I got a lot of them in a bargain bin.
Yeah, the $5 Walmart bin.
Yeah, like it's just a lot of those movies. And yes, even Silence of the Lambs is in there because it's like, well, it's a DVD. It's dead. It's a dead medium at this point. So
and it wasn't dead, but Walmart knew. We were all like, what the fuck is Walmart doing? $5 DVDs? Yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's weird.
They're going to live on forever in my house.
I went in my basement and looked at my DVDs the other day. I'm like, fuck you. Like, I'm never going to watch you ever.
That list of movies, excluding like kids films, are the movies when you show up to your Vrbo or your Airbnb. Those are the movies that they have just to watch.
Yep.
Just in the cabinet, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. Well, we are going to strip away nostalgia. We're going to go strictly modern eye from here. It's time to talk to Sean about all the important details of the movie. What do you got on this one?
Produced by Kenneth Utt, Mike Medavoy, Edward Saxon, and Ron Bozeman.
Cool.
Written by Ted Talley. He also wrote The Juror, All the Pretty Horses, and he did write Red Dragon. Based on the novel by Thomas Harris. Cinematography by Tak Fujimoto. He did Badlands, Death Race 2000, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Sixth Sense, Signs, and the movies that we've done, That Thing You Do, and The Replacements. It's his third time. Music by Howard Shore. He did The Fly, Seven, The Game, The Lord of the Rings films, Mrs. Doubtfire, and also That Thing You Do and Big. Directed by Jonathan Demme. He directed Caged Heat, Stop Making Sense, the Talking Heads live thing, Philadelphia, Married to the Mob, and Something Wild. Cast: Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, Scott Glenn, Ted Levine, Anthony Heald, Brooke Smith, Diane Baker, Cassie Lemons, Charles Napier, Tracy Walter, Roger Corman, and Frankie Faison. After the research and work it took to create the characters of the world, Thomas Harris based his murders in his novels off of real-life murders, Ted Bundy, Ed Gein, Gary Heidnik, and a plethora of others. Red Dragon first introduced the public to the character of Hannibal Lecter, which was made into the film by Michael Mann called Manhunter. The sequel to Red Dragon, the novel The Silence of the Lambs, wasn't even out yet, and Orion Pictures, along with Gene Hackman, optioned it for a film. Gene Hackman was to star in and direct the film, so he went looking for screenwriters to work with and found Ted Talley, who Hackman had liked his previous work. Ted Talley got the job and turned in his script to Hackman, but Hackman said it was way too violent for him, so he backed out of the project himself. As production moved on from Hackman, they needed a director. Orion Pictures had worked with Jonathan Demme before, so they offered it to him, which he first turned it down because he didn't want to do another schlocky horror film. Until Orion head Mike Medavoy told Demme to read the novel, and he saw more in the film than just a slasher movie, and he accepted the job. Originally, the story was more of an overarching perspective of all characters, but when director Demme came on board, he saw more of the lighter side and softer side of Clarice Starling would be the perfect central protagonist. Writer Ted Talley had Jodie Foster in mind while he was writing, and Foster was campaigning for the part. Demme thought Michelle Pfeiffer would be good for the role because he had just worked with her in Married to the Mob, but she turned it down because she thought it was too violent. Demi then met with Foster, and just the way she walked down a hall was all that convinced Demi to cast her. It was just her cadence, I guess, was just everything that he was looking for in the role. Robert Duvall was offered the part of Hannibal Lecter, but he turned it down because he thought it was too violent. Demi.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there because I've needed to do this like 2 times. That's strike 3 because it's like, oh, Gene Hackman wanted this. And he's like, he read it. He loved it. He was like, man, this is so freaking awesome. I read the whole thing. I promise. I read it all, and I want to make it into a movie. I want to direct it. I want to star in it. Well, we're going to do it. All right, here's the script. It's like, oh, my God.
Geez.
What did I get myself into? Thinking a horror movie was going to be gruesome.
Tucks his wiener?
What? What's this?
Scary.
This is too graphic. Go, my God. And then, like, so-and-so wanted it. Well, it's too graphic and too violent. It's like, what are you expecting at this point, guys? Oh, okay. Come on.
They all read the title. They're like, that sounds like a nice
Oh,
movie.
that
wow.
sounds
Oh,
like
wow.
a
Nice little
wonderful-
drama.
Wow, this is going to be fun. I think
It's like the Pelican Brief.
You know
Yeah.
what? You know what? Could be on a farm. Could be a little dramatic. Could be, about that life.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to do hard things on the farm life. Let's make a movie.
He skins him. Ah!
Demi then approached Sean Connery, who just turned it down. There's no reasoning. Didn't give a reasoning. It wasn't too violent.
Are you sure?
I appreciate
Are you sure?
He wants to keep a segment moving. Again.
Are you sure?
He was busy. Okay, go, Sean, go.
Go.
Demi wanted to cast Anthony Hopkins after seeing him in The Elephant Man. The two met, and Demi said he loved the way Hopkins played such a soft and good man in The Elephant Man. Hopkins said, "Why does that make you think I'm good for Hannibal?" Demi said, "That's how I want you to play him. He's a good man trapped inside of an insane mind."
I love that.
Hopkins based his voice for Lecter off of HAL 9000 from 2001, A Space Odyssey. Once Hopkins had the voice, he said he had the character. Principal photography began on November 15th, 1989, and shot mostly in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and went off without any major hitches. The battery between Demi and DOP Tak Fujimoto was apparently a sight to see for cast and crew, as the two would have an almost telepathic working relationship. Demi would suggest something about a camera angle or lighting choice, and Fujimoto would nod and walk away as if the two both had the same shot in mind, exactly the way they needed to, and they just needed to confirm it by looking at each other's eyes. Filming wrapped on March 1st, 1990. The Silence of the Lambs was released on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 1991, and on a budget of $19 million, the film made $272.7 million at the box office. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, winning the Big Five, as Mike said: Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Actress, Best Actor, Best Director, and Best Picture. But it got snubbed for one, which I will talk about later.
Third film in history to do that. Do you know what the other two are?
It was showed me on the documentary. God damn it! It was black and white film. Like they knew too much or something like
It
that.
happened one night.
It happened one night.
1934, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
that's
Nest,
right.
1975.
That's right.
A little trivia for you. That's what we do here. We tell jokes. We give trivia.
How about that? How about that? Little.
Well, up next, we got to go to AJ. He does some research for us, tells us what the critics and the ratings and the people have to say all about it.
Sometimes you just gotta give up. You know.
Sometimes you just gotta move on.
Let it go.
Mike, start talking. Let's go.
My
Into
segment's
the
done.
ethos. That's where it goes, and we're gonna eat this one up. There's some.
There's
some ghosts. It's October.
This ain't
ghosts
good.
in the studio.
We're gonna eat this liver with some fava beans and a nice tomato meter.
Bravo, sir.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. First time. Yeah, guys, this is a 95% on the tomato meter.
Top 15 movies that we have done, tied with The Evil Dead. Do not agree with that whatsoever. I always like to bring up Evil Dead being that high. Not as good as The Fugitive, but better than Saving Private Ryan. Just thought you should know that.
All right. Not as good as what you said?
Not as good as The Fugitive.
Okay.
But Evil Dead's better than The Fugitive, too. So,
Okay.
yep.
Of course.
Well, okay.
Of course it is.
95% on the popcorn meter.
Oh.
The audience.
Oh, dang it. Oh, dang it.
So stupid.
I need more napkins. That's the end of that segment.
Do you want butter? What the fuck question is that?
Extra. It's also 95% from the popcorn meter. This is 8.6 on IMDb.
Fourth place of any movie we've done. This is not as good as Goodfellas, but it is better than The Shining, per IMDb.
Wow.
Phew. Okay. All right. Well, Variety gave it a 100 out of 100. This is a mesmerizing thriller that will grip audiences from first scene to last. San Francisco Chronicle agreed. Peter Travers at the Rolling Stone, the superbly crafted suspense thriller slams you like a sudden blast of bone-chilling, pulse-pounding terror. Apparently there's some folks that didn't like this, and there's a dynamic duo that heavily disagreed.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Roger Ebert at the Chicago Sun-Times, he gave this an 88 out of 100, so I believe that it's like a 4 out of 5, basically. It has been a good long while since I have felt the presence of evil so manifestly demonstrated as in the first appearance of Anthony Hopkins in The Silence of the Lambs. That's all you need to say about it, really. I mean, that's when it comes down to it. Roger Ebert really was an advocate for this movie. He's always kind of had. If Roger and Ebert was Sean and I would probably be. Siskel and Ebert. Mm-hmm. Roger and Ebert. Siskel and Ebert. I would actually probably be Siskel and you'd be Raj. Okay, because Siskel did not like this. He literally said this was like it was way overhyped.
Really?
Oh yeah. They had a huge disagreement on this. Billed as one of the most frightening, depraved films ever made. Would that it were so. Instead, this is a case of a much ado. Use less words, Siskel.
What that was so simple.
This isn't fucking Renaissance. Instead, it's really a case about nothing, is what he said. He didn't find anything in it, and when I had read this, because there were some blurbs about this, when he came out about this and said, no, this is not a good movie, it's terrible, the acting's bad, Anthony Hopkins, meh, like that kind of stuff, and Ebert was like, you missed the fucking boat. You
did.
You missed the
You're
boat.
an idiot.
Like, and I don't think he really lived it down throughout their career together.
Wow.
So,
speaking of that, real quick, people have been sending us a behind the scenes of their show.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you for doing that, because they are bitter fucking rivals. They're like roasting each other. They're like, well, how about you fucking act for once? Or how about you fucking do your job and shit?
You got to get it right one time. At least one time. We're still going to be here until you get it right.
It was really fucking funny.
I fucking love that. So there were plenty of 10s. I did find a 10 on here. Presumably the best psychological movie I've ever watched, said Alec Pelly. This is a very recent one I wanted to bring up because, well, this was my first time watching it as well. I won't go into all of it. They said that the movie is a kind of movie that hits hard once in a lifetime. It's very rare, as it is the masterpiece. Trust me when I say that the tension unfolds through every frame of the movie, and the watchers are left amazed, left to interpret, let to grasp, and left to be in a daze of thoughts. They did go on to say cinematography is great. Every lens capture of the scene is very much proportionate. Love this movie. Wonderful. That's a 10 out of 10.
All right.
There was some folks who felt differently. There's a 5 out of 10. Why not somebody calling it overrated and giving it a 5? Unfortunately, it's a disappointment movie. I had high expectations, and I assumed the Silence of the Lambs was supposed to be the best serial killer movie, but it was not. Scenario is not bad. However, it's not good because the scenario is based on a novel. I'll stop that one right there, and I'm going to take you into this one right here that said, oh, God, please don't. Yeah. The Silence of the Jams, 1 out of 10.
That makes no sense.
I know, right? It doesn't make any sense.
You like the music in it?
I know, right? Goodbye Horses. All right. So going from that one, well, it's not a very good scenario. It's based on a novel. This one says, I expected a lot more. First, I read the book. Stop. We're not reading anymore because you read the book first. You're just going to destroy this with a 1 out of 10. Fuck you.
Nope.
All right. They said like the book is the best thing they've ever read. And then they had
Cool.
to read this. Great.
You
I
know,
don't
you know
care.
what the best part about movies are? It was done in 2 hours.
I don't have to read the fucking book.
I didn't have to read.
Amazing.
I had time for a nap.
Yeah. And by the way, the author of this novel loved it and very much appreciated everyone's performance in it.
Nerd.
Gotcha.
If I had glasses, I would do this. The book was much better.
1 out of 10. Sir Anthony Hopkins is more suitable for comedy and drama. Toxic movies that I hate forever. I really believe that films like this do harm not only the cinema, but also our world. Snore. Nobody cares.
What year was that?
That was in 2022.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, nobody was having a good time then.
No.
All right.
No.
And guys, I'll just wrap it up with this one. Okay. 1 out of 10. Dumb movie.
Say no more. We got you.
It's just my favorite thing. Like, even I understand that this is not a dumb movie.
You don't have to like it to say, well, that was pretty good. I just didn't really like it.
This was L. Stein, not R.L. Stein.
No, he dropped that.
That was a really bad pen name if that was him just bashing
Yep.
some other novel writer. Warning, spoilers. Hannibal Lecter and Buffalo Bill scarred me as a kid. Maybe that's why you think it's dumb. They are jerks that traumatized me for over 25 years. I would rather watch paint dry than see Anthony Hopkins scaring me. Why did he do that weird thing with his mouth? Jodie Foster should have kicked his behind for being mean to her. You bet. I heard she didn't want to do any sequels because he frightened her too much. What about her feelings?
God damn it. When was this review?
2024.
Weird.
Weird. Yeah. What about my feelings?
This is a joke now, isn't it?
Buffalo Bill needs to keep his clothes on. Birthday suits aren't needed in this film. Whoever wrote this film clearly wanted to scare children. Maybe it wasn't intended for children.
It was rated R, so restricted.
Yeah, but hey, inclusivity, guys. You got to let everybody
Well,
watch it.
Just because their gender doesn't align.
Oh, man.
no.
Are we going to talk about it? We
Yeah,
might have to
Well,
talk about it.
actually, I jumped the gun on that one. I
Well,
apologize. But
well.
just because their age doesn't align with the ratings doesn't mean they should be excluded. That's where I meant
It's
to
almost
go.
like if Anthony Hopkins and Ted Levine scared him.
I know.
Maybe it's not too dumb. Maybe it is sort of effective.
Maybe that's what they were going for. Ugh, weird.
Yeah. Whoever wrote this film clearly wanted to scare the children. Anthony Hopkins needs to apologize to me. Maybe that's actually it's a nice thing that you were doing. You're a backhanded compliment, but you still gave it a 1. Means you're driving down the rating system.
I'm going to think
guys.
that's not too much of a mean-spirited. I think he's just kind of joking.
No,
I like it. I like him.
I think you're probably right. Let's get off of that. We'll go to the Little Lebowski Urban Achievers.
AJ, I want to tell our
exclusive
listeners
Discord.
about the best possible way to support this podcast.
That would be the best
It's
way.
at our patreon.com/confusedbreakfast. You love this show. So many people reach out. They're like, keep going. We love you. Keep putting out episodes. It's always going to be free, guys. But if you really want to help sponsor us, keep this light on back here. It's very expensive. Electric utility bills are through the roof. Go to patreon.com/confusedbreakfast. Consider a sponsorship. If you join the top tier Little Lebowski Urban Achievers, one of those cool exclusive things is you get to leave a review kind of the movie. We put it on air.
Yeah.
AJ, you want to go back and forth with me? I got
Go
one
to
from
it.
Zookmo.
Oh, yeah.
Zook
Yeah, yeah.
M0. He says, I was around 10 years old when we watched this together and even had a personal connection to the movie because my aunt lived across the street from Buffalo Bill's house, so they set up cameras and stuff on her lawn.
Oh, wow.
I thought
Like across the train
yes,
tracks.
Yes. I thought Hannibal Lecter was so cool, and even though a bunch of stuff flew over my head like one of Mig's busted nuts, this movie set up a lifelong love affair with anti-heroes and bad guys. I read the Thomas Harris books next, and as I got older, I always found new details on rewatchables I had missed. Modern Eye also loves this movie because of the details, craftsmanship, performances. It's ageless, has a lot of subtext about 90s feminism, and the reboots and pop culture references keep it relevant. Nostalgia 8, modern day 9.25.
Right on, man. That's a cool detail.
That's a
And
very cool
the
Yeah.
the anti-hero kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I have some stuff to say about that later.
Okay.
I think it's very important.
Luke Dawson, he jumped in. He said, "This is without a doubt one of the greatest movies, the greatest villains of all time. And one of the greatest scenes in movie history is Clarice ringing the doorbell to Buffalo Bill's house while the FBI rings the doorbell at the wrong place. When Buffalo Bill answers, your heart sinks. Nostalgic, 10. Modern, 10.
Damn.
Our boy Jarrett Layoff cues up Goodbye Horses and quotes, "Wait, was she a great big fat person?" When I first saw the title of the movie,
She was a bigger girl.
was she a great big fat person?
She's a big girl, yes.
When I first saw the title of the movie as a kid, I thought it was a weird movie about farming, and much like AJ with grumpy old men, why would I care about that? Nostalgic first watch wasn't as big of a hit, but this movie is an absolute masterpiece. Nostalgic 6, modern day 9.1.
Nice.
That's what some of our little Lebowski urban achievers got to say. If you want to join the convo, patreon.com/confusedbreakfast.
Thank you guys so much.
Also, by the way, this is coming out on Jarrett Layoff's birthday.
Hey.
What?
Hell yeah.
Happy birthday,
happy
bitch.
birthday, Jarrett Layoff. He said, oh shit, this is coming out on my birthday.
Did he say birthday?
Yeah.
Cool.
No, he didn't, but
Okay.
I said that for him.
Strip down your birthday suit, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, boys, the veil is thinning.
Mm-hmm.
The leaves are changing. There's a Christmas in the air, and every girl you see in public is wearing the same Han Solo outfit.
Yeah.
If your eyes catch the sunlight just right in the early morning, you can see the pumpkin spice floating through the air as if you were on the dunes of Arrakis. It's officially spooky season. So what do you say we give a modern-day review to one of the scariest movies of all time? Monsters, demons, and aliens don't scare me as much as human beings do.
That's right.
Here we go.
Here we go.
So scene one. Promising FBI Academy student Clarice Starling is pulled from her training by Jack Crawford, who tasks her with presenting a questionnaire to the notorious Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Starling travels to the Baltimore State Hospital and is led by Dr. Frederick Chilton to Hannibal Lecter's cell. Although initially pleasant and courteous, Lecter eventually gets her to leave, but not before she's assaulted by another patient. Lecter, who calls Starling back and offers a riddle containing information about a former patient.
All right, man. Like right off the bat here, I watched a kind of review or breakdown of this, or like a kind of analysis of this by a person called CinemaSticks on YouTube.
Cool.
And he was like, I like to think that like maybe someone walked in a little later than like the credits, or like literally like right after she's climbing up the hill with the rope. And she's running through the forest, and he's like, imagine this. Like, imagine you've seen all these movies that portray women running from a killer or like from something in a horror movie. You saw all the press and everything leading up to this being like, it's going to be scary, you know, it's this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're expecting that maybe that this trope is going to keep on, but then she's running and doing an exercise course for the FBI, completely just like unbalancing that trope in your head right away, you know. And I really like that perspective a lot, because obviously this movie's totally about Starling's perspective as a woman in the FBI, you know.
I love that a lot, actually. That's great.
There's so much subtleness to this movie. This movie can be analyzed for almost how perfectly it was directed. Like those subtle things, they're not going to hit you over the head with any of this, but they're going to give you these things like that like might creep into the back of your head and help your subconscious out. The whole fact that basically everyone looks in the camera except for Clarice.
Yeah.
Except for only maybe like 2 scenes does she actually look into the camera.
She's looking slightly off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there
Almost
are
all the time,
reasons
yeah.
why there are 2 scenes later on where she does look at the camera, and they are pivotal moments in the story. Like they're not hitting you over the head with this. This is something you're never going to think about the first time you're watching it, but they're trying to give you the perspective of what she's seeing,
Yeah.
and what she's feeling, and
How she's being looked at as well.
Oh,
Right.
dude.
This starts off right away.
I'm talking about how she's being looked at, how people are perceiving
Yeah.
her is undeniable in this movie what they were going for.
Yeah. So I love that perspective of like, yes, normally it's like it's a woman, a girl being chased through the woods by a killer, and she's stumbling over everything, and you know, because you're scared, whatever, and like there's a log, and like, why are you gonna run upstairs, that kind of shit, right? But this is great because it's like she's training for it.
She's training to chase the killer.
To chase the killer. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And I love that so much. And then the other end of it too is this wasn't supposed to be the introduction of this movie.
Yeah, what were they going to do?
They were going to do it as they were going to do this as kind of the classic misinterpretation of like them busting in on the drug bust, and then
but it was a training exercise, right?
But then it ends up being a training exercise. She doesn't check her corner. They use this later on.
They use it later on.
This idea later on, but in like a series of clips of her training. But that's what it was supposed to be, and I'm pretty sure it was Jodie Foster was like, but like let's try something different, you know? Like that's I don't know if it's like it happens a lot or whatever. Like let's make it more
ambiguous. What is she doing? Why is she there?
And then going back to that thing of like her perspective, right? The only time like we really don't see maybe somebody talking at her into the camera is this first guy who stops her on the course and says, "Hey, Crawford's looking for you." Or whatever, and so then she runs, and then you get that long look on his face.
Yeah, you don't need that.
You don't.
But they wanted it.
But it's important because of the way things are just going to be from now on.
Yeah.
Because and I'll get this out right away because I, as a first time watcher of this, it made me. I didn't understand, or I didn't realize. I didn't know any backstory of this movie really, and I started to when I was. Finally got to my second watch, I started looking things up, and I figured out, that's what they're going for, is this male gaze thing. My first watch of this, though, the way I took it was, are we supposed to be suspicious of almost every man that we come across in this? And I don't mean that in like a weird way.
Yeah.
I mean like they're playing it this way very much. They are. Everybody, and it's true. From this perspective, everybody that we come across, including guy number one on that frickin' course, that lingering shot on his face, am I supposed to be suspicious of him for later?
Well, it makes you
It's
kind
interesting.
of feel like, especially as men watching this, that must be the way women feel,
and that's
almost all of the time. You know, especially in an uncomfortable situation like this, or a male-dominated field where like she just literally gets in this elevator, huge tall men just lumbering over her. You know, just men.
And that's what I mean about like her height. Is brought into the equation very
quick. She
quick.
gets in that elevator.
When she gets in the elevator, and even her walking, even other women are taller than her though, too. You know,
and normally Hollywood hides that.
Yes,
they give platform shoes to Tom Cruise. They make his co-star stand in ditches.
Yes,
this is like no. We want to emphasize how short she is to everyone.
And they also will emphasize it in the way of using camera angles, so that way a camera angle is going to be at eye level with each individual talking. Whereas this, they use that, and everybody more often than not is taller than her. In that perspective, or in her perspective of them talking at the camera, and it's very interesting.
Even as she's heading to Crawford's office, like the camera's kind of following her, and those two men in the office are like, I think he's looking. Just wait for him in his office, and it just still lingers on him, and they're lingering on her as she just walks. Everybody is just like, it takes a beat. Because they're like, it's a woman, you know.
Yeah,
what's she doing?
It's subtly commenting on what you're commenting on, whereas. It is like a woman in a workplace kind of thing, you know, a male-dominated field mostly, but also, you know, like the suspicious nature, I guess, of not all men, but a lot of men.
Unfortunately, the way things, like, especially were, I don't know, many years ago, or not many years ago, but, and still today, where it's, maybe there is that perception that, that's the way it feels, you know, and especially in what this is and what the FBI even got involved in this movie for was because it's such a male-dominated field and bureau that they're like, we need more women in the FBI. Hopefully this will be a training tool for that. A recruiting tool for that.
I would love to know if it actually ticked up.
Did it work?
Did this work? Like, I mean, because she's the Ripley. She's such a powerful hero in this movie. But like, you sure you want this? You sure? You sure about this? You sure about that?
I mean, I know when I like to reverse it. I know when I walk into a Barnes and Noble on like the Criterion sale, you know, and there's a bunch of women in there. They're just like staring at me.
Oh yeah,
you know, like they just can't take their eyes off
I always
of me.
turn around. I know once I pass the women, I always turn around quick to see if they're looking at my butt.
Yeah.
Oh
you know,
yeah.
Like, and they always are.
They're
every
always
time.
looking.
Fuck. God.
It's like, will you stop? Seriously. Like at our live shows, girls, will you lay off?
I'm just trying to look for books and video games. Okay, That's all I was trying to do here. Every time I go into GameStop, then I always just do a quick.
Listen, when I'm in the drum section at Guitar Center, there's always chicks there, and they're always like, "You should smile more."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "No, I don't owe you shit. I'm here to buy drumsticks, and they're very expensive."
I'm not happy that I have to buy more. Like,
you should smile more.
You should. You
look better without a beard.
Yeah. Hey, are you from around here?
Hey, you should take those glasses off. I want to see your eyes.
Yeah, we want to see your eyes more.
Hey, what's your?
It's just you standing here.
What's your OnlyFans?
Yeah.
What's your OnlyFans? I know you got one. Stupid douche.
Everyone has one now.
You're in my phone as Mike Tornado, so I think that's your username on OnlyFans.
Really? Am I really in your phone?
Yes. But when she does get into Crawford's office, there's all of the postings and all of like the paper clippings of Buffalo Bill. It's just a great visual way, like we talk about sometimes, especially in Rear Window, getting to know our character through visuals, or getting to know our what our main character is going to be doing for the rest of the film. And it's just on the wall here until Crawford comes in.
They don't waste any time, Sean. This movie is long, and I kind of went, "Fuck, am I gonna?" And like this movie flies by because you're in his office, you catch a little bit of that, then that perfect cut of like Clarice, never forget what he is, and then it's Dr. Chilton. He's a monster, a pure psychopath. I mean, like they're there. We're gonna meet Hannibal Lecter within like 6 minutes of this movie starting.
It's all build up. From right here. It's all build up, and it just keeps going. They milk and milk and milk this build up for Hannibal Lecter right up until the end, and we'll get to it. But like, yeah, it's so good, and there's a lot of match cuts like that, which like saves so much time. You know, and some of them are kind of funny. Like, so you can get into trouble with that kind of thing, with like saying like, "Oh, well, what is he? He's a monster."
Yeah,
you know that it's almost
if
funny.
you don't do it right, like it's not effective.
Exactly, but it saves so much time, and it just gets us going. You know, I totally agree with you. It doesn't feel long whatsoever.
Hit it!
Yep. If we were on a train to go punch a face, I'm on board.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is pretty unanimous, right? In a movie where we have people that are literally serial killers killing other people, my punchable face is Dr. Chilton.
Chilties. Yeah. He's
wow.
He's gross.
The fact that the fact that he's like talking about it's quite a fun town if you have the right guide, and he's hitting on her. And you don't want to go on a date with this guy.
No.
Because in his pocket, he just always carries the photo of the guard. He doesn't just have that for today. He always that's his pickup line in a bar, probably.
He's like, before she came into the office and like there was this knock at the door. It's like, Dr. Chilton.
Oh shit.
He was sitting like
he's like, yeah.
And then do the knock.
Okay.
Yeah, come in.
Tucking his boner.
He's getting off from that photo. Jesus Christ.
This is him on a date. On a date, he's like, the first thing he says as they sit down is like, "Here, take a look at that."
That's my workplace.
She's like, "What the fuck is this? Like, what? You know, you see that?
Yeah,
that girl?
see?
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter did that. He's my patient."
And then he's just like, "See, I don't seem so bad, do I?"
No, there's worse out there.
This guy sucks. And like this, in the world of all these guys like looking and hitting on Clarice, like he's the worst. These guys are just looking.
Come on, let me buy a drink. Let me buy you 6 drinks.
Come
right,
on.
let's go.
Come on.
I'm not gonna do this to you.
The waitress comes
That'd
over.
be crazy.
Waitress comes over and she's like, "What can I get for you guys?" He's like, "I'll take a water." She'll take a Jaeger. I don't want a Jaeger. No, you'll take a Jaeger.
Extra cold.
It's got deer's blood in it.
It's aphrodisiac. It's aphrodisiac.
I'm gonna go with a little bit of an outsider.
He uses that Jaeger to slick his hair back. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with a little bit. I'm choosing Chilton too, but my second runner up was when they get to the funeral home to look at the victim. Is one of the cops as Crawford leaves the room. He closes the door and he's like,
Yep.
Yeah.
"You're a woman.
We can't talk about it out here anymore because you're a woman."
Now we can't hear all the good."
Yeah. I wanted to know what happened in detail because I'm a man.
Are you Chilton puncher?
I'm a Chilton guy, yeah. I'm a Chilton puncher.
I
Yeah.
did count this, guys. This buildup that Sean talked about. This, okay, we're gonna take you to him, and it just keeps going and going and going. They go through 6 different guards, 6 different locked doors plus his cell to get to this man. If that subconsciously does not make you feel unbelievably scared of what these people in this basement are doing, I don't know what does.
Like, it's just such a good build-up because it's you don't even need to see the picture that Chilton has.
No.
You don't need to see that.
We don't need it.
It cuts to her reaction, and as they get down in the basement, the sound design gets like a little bit more ominous. It gets like there's like feels like you're in a basement, but a train track is nearby or something. It's just like I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, but. The sound design gets more ominous, and then you get Frankie Faison. Who's awesome.
He
but
might
then,
be my lovable.
He's 100% lovable.
Okay, because I don't feel like he does.
You're
I don't
gonna
feel like
do
he's.
fine.
I don't feel like he's part of the bad crew.
No, I bet
inside this
the guys
hospital.
like him down there.
Yeah.
I think even Hannibal's like, did Barney treat you well on the way in?
Yeah.
I think they because they're respectful to them. And
nice
Why
of-
be mean?
Yeah, because he's all about respect.
Yes.
And very much hates disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing Barney is probably that one who is at least respectful
Yes.
enough. And so Frankie Faison, I think he's my lovable face in this movie.
And as Starling
get
gets as Starling gets
If it wasn't for Hannibal Lecter.
he took your lovable faces off.
Loved a face so much.
As Starling is like going by the other cells and everything and seeing Miffers, what's his name?
Miggs.
Miggs.
It's just all build up, and you see these people leading up to him who just seem crazier and crazier as it goes. And like I've been saying, they milk every single second of building up Hannibal Lecter right up until here, and like you're thinking, wow, how crazy can he be? Oh my god, like
He's the last
that
one.
guy's crazy, this guy's fucking crazy, like oh my god, and he's just like, hello.
Perfect posture.
It's like
well lit.
it's so
cell.
amazing.
Dude, and something about this angle, it's a sideways view, and he's waiting, and he knows they're coming, and he's just, this is creepier to me than if it was just some psychopath, and all you could see was his eyeballs in the dark,
Right.
and he's like, what do you want? This is scarier to me.
It would have been like if you guys have ever seen like the new Sherlock Holmes when he gets to what's his name, Black. It's Mark Strong plays the character, and he gets to that cell, and it's just black pretty much, and it's just him sitting there brooding. It's like it could have easily just been
They
that.
could have done that.
But the fact that it's so bright and this is the safest place, seemingly safest place in this horrible corridor of just chaos is his place, that is so unsettling. It's great.
And you can understand the scariest part about Hannibal Lecter is you understand how trusted, lovable, and like friendly this man could be, and how he could manipulate everyone around him on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the scariest part. We talk a lot about how the fuck did she get with him? Like, he's such a piece of shit. We all know it. It's like, well, people have powerful manipulation skills, and this man was one of them, and that is scarier to me than Buffalo Bill is.
And they could choose to be manipulative or choose to just be how they are like this, and I think he genuinely charms Clarice.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard not to be charmed by him, while also obviously being a horrible monster. But it's such a great way to write this character, because there's art on his wall that he did. It's like, oh, Florence, or like Florence. Is it
familiar with Florence?
Yeah, it's, I don't know, just every single detail about him, and to know right now, obviously getting after getting to know him, that he's just so smart, and knows what she's gonna say even before she says it.
He knows
almost.
exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
This can we just agree? This conversation that they have is in the ultimate best scenes in film history. Like these two having their dialogue, and you can dive, like, this isn't our place, Sean, and I'm guessing the video you saw may be similar to what I saw, but the dissection of this scene and the camera angles and the placement of people in the scene, and Clarice sitting down in the chair and him standing up, there's all these moments of just subtle brilliance in what you're seeing between this conversation and those guys. And this is like, every time I see this scene, I'm just in awe, mouth open, of how perfect it is.
Yeah, I mean, even like his sort of like maybe callous nature that she can kind of see, where he's like, "What'd Mig say to you?" He's like, "I can smell your cunt." I myself cannot.
I can't.
And it just slowly pans up to the holes in the cage, and he's. But you're like, ooh, fucking gross. But then he starts describing like what she might be wearing. You know, it's just like, whoa, dude.
And I think that's the juxtaposition. That's the variance, I guess, of evil. There's his evil that you partake as nice and common and like, but to be honest, it's just as creepy that he knows those scents, if not more, than Miggs just blurting that bullshit out.
He's just saying it.
He's just saying
He
shit
can't.
to make it uneasy.
And he's
but
like,
the fact
well-
that he's saying these things, that's worse, guys. That's worse. You got to remember that in this whole scene. And that's the idea of like how they're back and forth in this power dynamic and that play of, you know, she is a student, but he's still testing her out, kind of. And the idea of like, even that question is a tent. What did Mick say to you? She could have easily been like, I don't want to repeat that.
No, and he heard it.
Exactly.
So he just wanted to see if she
he
would
knows
say it.
damn
He wanted
well.
her to say
He
it.
wanted
You
to
say it.
see if she's going to say it. That's very, very brilliant.
Did you read that Hopkins, when he mocked her Southern accent, it was improv on the spot?
Yeah.
And her reaction was genuine horrified. Like, she's like, Jesus, you know, like, you're cutting me.
Yeah.
But they kept in the scene, and she thanked him later for like, wow, like, you got me on that, and
drew it out of me.
and because that's what her character would have done too. Like, no, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Self-conscious about that. Like, he knows how to just cut into you just a little bit.
Like I've watched a lot of interviews with like the press of this leading up to its release, or like its, you know, Oscar campaign pretty much, and they're like, so like what was it like between you and Anthony, or what was it like between you and Jodie? Like, were you guys like friends or anything? He's like, we just worked together. Like we did our scenes and we called cut, and then we did more scenes, and then we just took off for the day. We just did our jobs.
We want to believe that like they're best friends.
Exactly.
I bet they
wouldn't it be
really
so
bonded
cool?
over kind
I
of
wonder if they
building
fell
these
in love,
characters,
kinda, like-
dynamics, and maybe there was some attraction there. It's like, wow, that's a really fucked up thing to say if people just going and doing their jobs, you know? We don't need it every single time.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay that they were professionals.
There's some subtleties too. I don't think this is coincidence. I think the writing of it to prove how truly like smart and witty Lecter was. The Chianti line, you know, like it's one of the most famous lines of the movie. But apparently, so Dr. Lecter's choice of sides weren't based on his taste. He was making a medical joke about it. If you have neurological psychiatric illnesses like bipolarization, you take drugs called MAOIs, monoamine oxidase inhibitors. And the three things you're not allowed to eat while taking mental pills like that are liver, beans, and Chianti wine.
Really?
Like, he's basically meant like seeing if she'll catch on to these things.
See,
Those are the three things you can't have if you're having illnesses like this.
Wow.
so instead,
So he's like, so he had it.
so I did have it.
Yes.
Yeah. And again,
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. I mean, it's
at the same time,
Yeah, it's weird.
does that mean that like I don't know this, like, was it documented that thing actually happened, that he ate this liver of this
We know
census
that-
taker? We know he's a murderer and everything.
We think this is one of the people he's killed. I
It
think
is,
this is
okay.
a known thing because she like says it. She's like, well, you did it to that guy or whatever. You
Okay.
know, you killed that guy.
Well, yeah, he says, well, no. He's like, well, they leave a calling card. He's like, well, I didn't. He's like, no, you ate
You
yours.
ate that. Yeah. So we
And-
know about that.
Yeah. So at least she knows about that, pries a little bit, maybe too deep, and then it makes me think that maybe he says something off the cuff to make her uneasy again.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this liver with the fava beans and the Chianti wine
Yeah.
a joke at her?
It might be. It might be a joke based on what we just said.
And
there.
see, that's yeah.
it's
great.
all power
Yeah.
dynamic and
Yeah.
power switches throughout this whole thing, because
Right.
even in that line where she's like, no, you ate yours, he kind of bests her, or sorry, she kind of bests him at
Isn't
that
that
point.
when he stops making eye contact with
looks
her?
down. He's like, "Why don't you send that through now? You know, the census or the questionnaire."
For the first time, he doesn't blink, and he actually blinks and takes his eye contact.
yeah,
away
I
from
mean,
her.
and then like he looks at the thing and like winks at her and everything, and she says, "Well, yeah, just go through the questionnaire and everything." He's like, "Oh no, you were doing so good," and then, like, you don't want to make this about business. I want to get to know you, kind of thing. And then he says the fava beans thing.
Yeah, he's
winning the power back because she got him. You know.
Yeah. It's this whole thing that he's manipulating this. Seems like he's manipulating this conversation as much as she is trying to.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, it's interesting.
Before we move on to scene 2, this cum shot by Miggs, like. This is in my mind the scariest thing that happens in the movie.
Yeah.
And she gets over it really quick.
Yeah.
Like I'm not
Quick cry at the car, and I think we're moving on.
She
We're headed to the
literally walks
showers.
outside like I am Ace Venturing in the shower after he finds out about Einhorn.
Well, like Whitney Houston plays or something. And, you know, like
you don't get over this.
Yeah.
You do not get over this moment
No.
in time as easily as she does.
no.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of the grossest things I've ever seen in film.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
And like how do you even flick it that far? with
Spider-Man.
that
Pretty good.
Spider-Man.
Gross.
He's just a fucking dick.
There's there's really no porn name for this. Like it's just that. It's just cum shot to the face by a crazy man named Miggs.
And it gets in her
Like, it's
hair
not even a
too.
porn name.
It's gonna be hard to get out of the hair, you know.
I
God
know.
damn it.
She walks out into the crisp fall air and she's like, "We're good." man."
She's gonna need peanut butter for that. Getting that out of her hair. It's gonna be rough. Yeah.
Also, if there was a parody of this movie, like we talked about the 6 guards and the 6 jail cells to go through. What are those stairs at the end? Where do those go? I'd
Yeah,
like to
true.
picture that they just go up to an emergency exit. There's
Yeah.
just a door right there.
Yeah.
Like they just go around the corner to just like that'd be a Family Guy. She goes, "I'm leaving," and she just walks up and walks out a door, even though she went through 45 doors to get there.
Oh, we needed something. I mean, we still gotta abide by protocol here.
Yeah,
you know?
we need an emergency exit.
Fire exits. We gotta have fire exits on either side of the building. That's the only place we can do it.
So scene 2, the solved riddle leads to a rent-a-storage lot where the severed head of Benjamin Raspale is found. Starling returns to Lecter, who links Raspale to Buffalo Bill and who offers to help profile Buffalo Bill if he's transferred to a new facility. Meanwhile, Buffalo Bill abducts Catherine Martin. Starling accompanies Crawford to West Virginia, where the body of Bill's most recently discovered victim resides. At the coroner's office, Starling helps perform the autopsy.
So we learned that Miggs is dead as well because he just simply talked to him, you know. And so with that information that Clarice gets, she's like shocked, but she's talked to him before and she's meant to go back. And so now that she learns that someone literally killed themselves because Dr. Lecter got in their head, but she's going to keep going back, you know. It's still adding on to his mythos, you know.
It is. It's they said he swallowed his own tongue.
How does that happen?
How do you do that?
I don't know, man.
I know. I can feel it attached right over here,
Let me try.
and I don't like that.
Oh, hey.
I can't.
Okay.
Don't. Yeah. Nope. And I don't like that. Swallowing. Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Well, do you notice how, Sean, that's a perfect point that you made. Like, all the rules she gets from Barney at the beginning, she just disregards everything. She accepts something from him. She gets close to the glass. She lets him get personal with him. After knowing what she knows, all these people saying, "Don't do it. Here's the photograph of what somebody else happened to them. Oh, by the way, Miggs is dead because he talked to him."
Yeah.
Follow the rules, and she just doesn't.
Yeah, but hey, you're gonna go back in, and like, damn, dude,
You're going to do fine once again.
We trust you. We trust you.
And now an episode of Storage Wars.
This is how.
Hey, I know. Listen, I know enough about like modern culture, but don't you need like a warrant to get in there?
She's FBI.
I don't think that's how that works.
You
Like,
just go like that with your badge, and you're like, oh, okay. Well,
no. I think there's weird. If I've learned anything from Storage Wars and stuff like that, like you have mega rights when you put your stuff in there. Nobody can get in there until like eviction papers and stuff have happened.
Oh, we didn't see the auction that happened before this that took all day.
Oh yeah. And the FBI has unlimited funds. They're gonna beat out fucking Joni and Chachi over there, who are trying to like bid it up for their.
I want what's in there. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah! I want that. God dang. And that's okay. No.
What if they lost?
What if they lost?
There's evidence in there.
my God. Then all they do is they just do like eminent domain. They wait around the corner for him to open it and walk up and be like,
Hey,
eminent domain, FBI. Oh, what's that? A bag of cocaine?
Uh-huh.
Wow, who owns this?
I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Well. What did they say? There's like a 10-year lease or something that they was paid in full, and they coming around on this. Was it over 10 years ago then, or was it still within the 10-year lease?
No, it was still within the 10 years, I think.
Okay. And this is a big storage unit, guys. This looks like where they stored the cars in the Titanic. Like, this is insane.
Yeah, it does.
Like, what's going on? Like,
Why were there cars in the Titanic? We'll get to it.
we'll talk about it. But no, it's like a massive freaking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is like, I'll just keep bringing it back up because it was very glaring for me. It's like, yeah, the guy, the silent guy in the car who doesn't really want to get out and do manual labor, I can understand. It's like, yeah, that's fine. But if you're gonna throw hokey guy with like 19th century facial hair and an accent in
Kind of weird.
this town and a top hat, that's fucking weird. How am I not supposed to feel uneasy about this guy? He's in on it.
And the fact that she knows, she's like, if I go in here and just tell him where I'm at, it's like, he's not going to tell anybody where you're at.
Here's my card. I just have to trust you.
But is that, as a first time watcher, are you creeped out at the scene? Being like, oh shit, she's gonna get captured. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, I 100% believe like by the time things are kind of over or like she's making her way through it, I'm like, okay, there's a lot more to explore in here. It's not like a single car stall storage unit. It's not Storage Wars storage. Okay.
Yeah.
By the time she's actually in there and exploring, I'm like, okay, I'm fine with it. She's not getting like locked into this joint. Right. So I was fine with it. But it's just that uneasy moment before she goes under, and the fact that it took all that work to get the thing open. Yeah, I'm like, everybody's in on this. That's where I'm at this point.
Yeah. And they find the head, and that was the head of one of the producers. They just cast his head and put it in there.
Is that your prop? Yeah. You want that?
No, I got some later.
All right. Well, and speaking of just the uneasiness, did you feel this during the first Buffalo Bill when he captures Catherine Martin? Where you just like, God damn it! Yep. Like it's such a terrifying scene. I just every time that this happens, I just like I feel gross, and the fact that she's just trying to be nice. And she gets kind of like, oh, get in the back there. Let me put. I'm just like, it fucking sucks.
Fly in the web, man. And it is. And I think it's a good. I do think it's a good play. And I don't think about these things until we're having the conversations. Yep. So it's one of those things of I felt the same way when she's about to go underneath that door, that she's about to get caught in something, and she doesn't. And then we see this.
And you're like,
her just listening to Tom Petty, and she's about to get caught in something. Mm-hmm. And I felt the same way. And I'm just like, fuck.
This is a creepy, creepy movie.
I don't know when our soundtrack episode is coming out.
It has just come out a couple days ago.
Okay, well, this was the inspiration for me having Tom Petty in my movie.
All right.
This is like the worst. Like, this is based off of real things. Like Ted Bundy would do this kind of shit. He would like,
that's right.
He would like fake, or he would have books or something and like kind of drop them and like wait for a woman to come over and help him out or offer to help him out. But it's because you could see yourself doing this kind of thing. Like I want to help somebody out. He's fucking got a broken arm trying to get a stupid sofa in there, and it's just, are you a size 14? Bam, bam, bam. Like, fuck.
And then they have the audacity to show the cat waiting for her.
Yep.
And being sad that his mom's not coming.
My wife did not like that.
You don't do that.
No, you know what?
Don't do that to me.
Let's start a new conversation on that, Mike. Because I think all the cats are in on it.
No,
they're all fucking
that cat was
in
like,
on
you
it.
son of a bitch. I was gonna eat her face.
That was my face to eat.
Yes, I knew she was a size
All
14.
cats
That's a lot of food for me.
Why do you think I chose her when she came to the shelter? Because she was a bigger girl.
I chose her. I knew I'd eat well, and if I didn't, I was playing the long game on going to eat her face.
Buffalo Bill, you did it again.
Son of a bitch. Squashing cats' dreams for 10 years.
But before this too, there's another match cut.
God.
There's another match cut to this scene as well when she's talking to Lecter once again, and he's like, "Do you think Crawford fantasizes about fucking you?" You know, and she says, "Is that something Miggs would say?" And he's like, "Not anymore." I love that. But she says, what's she say? He says something about like, oh, he's probably looking for a new victim right now. And cut right to her in American Girl. You know, it just moves the pace right along. It's so well done.
And it also takes away expectation or lack of expectation, I guess. It's just like he's probably looking for a new victim right now. Here we are.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going to cut to a scene and we're going to wonder what's going on, where it's like, oh, God, here we go.
Yep, here's our killer, and here's his next victim.
Here's the hill to the roller coaster. That's what we're doing. Yep.
Do you think, this is a very interesting thing that I never really picked on until this time, does Crawford like her sexually?
I think there's a little bit of something there, maybe. But at the same time, I think it's... Maybe not, though.
I don't know.
Maybe not, because he is very professional to her, and he's the only male, really, besides Lecter, that seems to respect her and respect her work. But there's also another notion that you could say he just picked a random woman to go and be a liaison for Lecter.
I think he does. Upon this rewatch, I think Crawford handpicked her out to give her a special assignment so he could get a little closer to her. There's that weird scene where they're in the car going to like the coroner's office, and he's like got his head back in the seat, like kind of sleeping, but like talking to her, like close to her head. That does not seem like something that you would see unless there was some sort of an attraction there.
It shows like kind of the first drop of his professional persona around her. That's the first drop of it that we really see, is him kind of, oh, it's been a long day. Loosen the tie, lean on back.
Go ahead and undo your blouse too. It's
Are
fine.
you back there? Why don't you kick your shoes off? Kick your feet up here. I'll rub them. Like, what the fuck is going on? What are you thinking about?
How come we never talk?
Why don't we? Let's get a pizza. We'll just in a sixer. We'll just hang out in my room.
I mean, are they going to a hotel?
I think they are, man.
Of course they are. Fuck, well, they're not staying at some fucking Airbnb.
They're
They're not staying at Buffalo Bill's house, which is an Airbnb. Shout out at Buffalo.
Yeah, we would love to come there someday.
It was
Shout
actually,
out.
we would go there for sure. It was actually a cut scene when they show up to the hotel, and Crawford says, they only got one room left. Shing, ding, ding, ding. Oh,
Single bed. Damn.
But don't worry, it vibrates.
We're going to sleep just fine.
Oh, yeah.
Did you catch at the coroner, dude? These are the weird things that I never catch. The guy playing the organ at the funeral is the coroner.
Yeah, and he looks through
What the fuck?
he looks through and smiles at her. It seems
And he's
like. Yeah, he's just like, I feel like it's like when you're up on stage playing like an acoustic gig, and you're just like, yeah,
you see someone you know.
yeah. It's like,
Hey, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I'll be back for the cutting up of her.
It's a thanks for coming, but
Yeah, I wrote this one. Yeah, it's on my new album, Spotify. Check it out. It's streaming now. And he, by the way, he's just such a weirdo, because not only is he playing the organ at the funeral, but then he's the main autopsy guy, and he's the only one that doesn't put shit under his nose.
yeah.
Like, this is so weird.
Yeah,
man.
those hands and that nose has seen and smelled and felt a lot of things. It's not okay.
Have you ever seen a movie where they do this before, where they put stuff underneath their nose?
I haven't. My mom had to explain it to me, like I said in the intro. Yeah,
Is that a thing? It must just be like a really strong.
it's got to be like menthol, like maybe like a smelling salt kind of thing.
Some sort of blocker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's this time around I noticed that he didn't do it, and I was like, God damn. But I think that this whole scene is fantastic. I think this is my favorite performance from Jodie Foster at this point.
When the cops are all there.
Well,
or
there's
just everything?
when she's looking at the body,
Yeah.
the camera's kind of at a low angle, getting some of the body in frame, but mostly Starling as she's looking at the body and describing what she's seeing and all the lacerations and everything. She's simultaneously trying to be professional, but she's also like she's trying to hold back
She's
tears.
new. She's green.
Yeah, she's
in
trying to
this.
hold back
This
tears.
is the first body she's seen.
Maybe in person,
Right.
but
Or not in a classroom setting.
I don't know. It comes off as more of a she's so sympathetic to just this dead girl, you know. And I think that it's just the look on her face as she's describing these things is so good. And like this is, I think, the reason she won the Oscar.
You think so?
Is this scene?
Yeah.
It's just so sympathetic and so professional at the same time, and so like she's wanting to learn. I don't know. Every ounce of her character is in this scene to me. I don't know why.
Well, and it goes back again. It's her perspective of it's her new green perspective on this whole thing, whereas she's also surrounded by a bunch of men who have been through it before.
Sure.
And they're not necessarily as phased. And you've got the other agent there who's kind of taking the photos, moving the body with the coroner, everything around that. And it's very much putting her, the movie is very much putting her into this sympathetic, empathetic position that we have to follow along with, you know? Yeah.
It makes her just like, you know, you believe that she wants to find Catherine Martin when they find out about her, you know, like that it's everything. And she will do maybe whatever it takes, even giving Lecter kind of what he wants to do it, you know.
Yeah.
It's so believable. What do you guys think about the flashbacks of her as a little girl?
It's very, actually, what I found cool this time around is that it almost proves that Lecter isn't as smart as we're made to believe he is, because his prediction of where she came from was not correct. You know, like he says, he was a miner and and you lived and you were poor.
Came home smelling of the lamp.
No, they were above. They were like middle class, and her dad was a cop and a respected agent, and are those the flashbacks you're talking about?
Yeah.
I liked them, and I liked that they didn't do more. There were other scenes where they were gonna like show the Silence of the Lambs scene.
Right.
They were gonna like show flashbacks of that, and I'm glad they didn't. But maybe just that one touch right there was pretty important, just to show that maybe he isn't as smart, and she doesn't tell him that he's wrong.
Yes.
Because she wants him to keep thinking, oh, yeah, he's got full control. He knows everything. And I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's super subtle. I like what you're saying right there, because, maybe she isn't giving him everything.
Yeah.
She's not feeding into everything. He's not feeding. There's a power dynamic. They both have power over different aspects of this relationship. And the knowledge, they're both very withholding with their knowledge.
Yeah.
And if he's going to make an assumption, why not let him run with it? Let's just see if he goes somewhere, you know?
This is the most
smart.
violent sounding camera I've ever heard in my entire life. This guy who's taking the pictures of the dead body. He's like, get a picture of her teeth.
All right, get another
It
one.
just like fucking kicks back. It's like got a recoil to it.
I know.
Like, Jesus Christ.
It's like a 12 gauge camera in there.
12 gauge 35 mil.
Yeah, zeiss mil. Carl Zeiss lens. Yeah. Yeah, we've been through a lot.
Clean her every day.
Yeah.
With a cigarette and a coffee.
Oh, this old girl. Yeah.
Yeah, pride and joy.
Well, let's go on to scene 3. So news of Catherine Martin's abduction sweeps the country, and Crawford authorizes Starling to offer Hannibal Lecter a fake deal if he helps profile Buffalo Bill and rescue Catherine Martin. Lecter begins a game of quid pro quo with Starling, while Dr. Frederick Chilton tapes the conversation and then makes his own deal with Lecter. Following a flight to Tennessee reveals Buffalo Bill's real name, physical description, and past address to Senator Martin and her entourage of FBI agents and Justice Department officials.
Another match cut here that they find the cocoon in her mouth. Well, another disturbing aspect of them pulling that out is as they pull it out, you can hear...
I know.
I don't like that.
Like that final breath
like a
was
last
stuck.
breath.
it was just stuck there. And that's really fucking fucked up.
Not a big fan of that one.
That's actually the scariest point of this movie for me.
When they pull it out of there.
Well, hearing that, that death rattle that just didn't escape yet.
And then, by the way, it's like just add to creepy guy Coroner Magoo. What was that? Some sort of a seed pod? No, that ain't no seed pod. That's a bug cocoon. I got plenty of them.
3 out of 4 dead bodies have them in there.
Yeah.
Sometimes
3 out of 4.
when a body gets
What
pulled out
happened
of the
to the
river, the leaves can get stuck in the mouth and stuff.
Yeah. You get stuck in the mouth and stuff. It's like
I play piano.
and
My new album's on
You
Spotify.
don't hear my song.
you want to hear my song on Spotify? If I play it now, I get another play.
I was on SoundCloud, but now I'm on Spotify.
My new song is called "Leaves in the Mouth."
It leaves in the mouth.
But
Most of the dead bodies I see come from the water.
yeah, it's really fucked up.
Cool, man.
She visits her bug buddies, which is kind of a neat scene.
These
where,
two nerds.
Yeah, where
bug
she's like, "You hitting on me, doctor?" And what do you guys think of like the sexuality of Clarice Starling? Like, there's a lot of people say like a lot of interviews that Jodie Foster took. Almost every single question, every single time there was one question, especially from a male, who was just like, "So, why doesn't Clarice have a boyfriend?" That kind of shit.
Because there's a book that was written a long time, like a little bit ago, and it wasn't written that way, Dick Bag.
I did find this really interesting, and this may be like I might get crucified for saying this, but I'm just going to say it because that's what we do here.
I'm gonna grab a drink.
The interesting part of Clarice is that this whole movie, all these like dudes are just hitting on her, staring at her, and she's like, "No, I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want to talk. I don't want to interest you in any thought that I'm interested in you." But then she gets to the two fucking nerds,
Right?
And she's like hitting on them back, like, fuck, well, that's funny,
Playing
that's
back
funny.
and forth with them.
And I think that's maybe where sometimes I understand it. She actually feels safe with these two fucking nerds.
Okay.
To be like, okay, these guys aren't gonna like take it too far with me. So she feels she can just joke around with them. But it also gives hope to the two nerds.
Yeah,
because they're like that. I don't see her saying any of that to the hot guys.
I think that
You know what? They got an invite to her graduation. It's pretty fucked up. You know?
Hey, we were in the academy together.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go.
Come on.
It's definitely not her fault. Like, not at all. But like, I can see how they are like, oh, I kind of like Reese. I think she likes me.
It seems like to me that they were obviously, it kind of portrays that they were friends before this.
Yes,
like
100%.
they knew each other before this somehow, some way, because she knew to come to them. But their banter back and forth seems more genuine than like she would have with another recruit that's a guy being like, "So, fire your gun today," or some shit. Like they have a little bit more to offer, and it's more genuine than just like, "Hey, I'm looking at you. You want to go out for some cheeseburgers and beers? You know, you hitting on me?" He's like, "Yeah. I just want to come."
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems a little bit more genuine, but I see what you're saying.
It does have that feeling to it, but it also, maybe it's a little.
Just do it.
All right. Maybe it's also a little disarming though too. It's just like because they're trying to do that whole male gaze camera trick, and then you see that guy. He's just
Is he looking at the
Is he looking at She's not really. It's not quite as penetrating because it's crooked. It's weird.
At least you know what his good eye is, because you know they want her to be looking right at the camera. So.
Which one of your eyes is gazing upon me? Fuck.
Which one of your eyes has the gaze?
Well, we do. We do need to at least mention the scene where the Dr. Chilton is listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think so? Like, we hate Dr. Chilton. I mean, he clearly pulls a pretty fast one here by doing this. But do we think he's mad that Hannibal Lecter is smarter than him? Because they're essentially in the same field, right? They're both psychiatric doctors. I think he's super offended by Hannibal Lecter being absolutely top of his class back when he was in the real world, and just being so much smarter than Chilton is.
That's interesting. I think that has something to do with it, but it's also I think it's that as well as being like he's the top prize as far as like serial killers go. Oh, yeah. And I have him. You know, I'm in his head. He's not in mine. He's in my prison.
I'm in full control over it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You covet what you see every day.
Boom.
Oh.
I think it is something along those lines. I think it's just I think it's several things kind of culminating at this point of it's his hospital. Dr. Lecter is his prize, and he knows the most about him. Like, you come to me if you want to learn about Hannibal Lecter. And then it's also, now you're back again. This is like how many times you've been back here to talk to Hannibal Lecter. I should be privy to this information, to this knowledge.
Yeah.
And like, that's where I think it finally just breaks for him. My question is that if they're conducting a federal investigation and interviewing him and he's listening in, is the only thing that gives this away or doesn't get him in trouble with the FBI is some sort of client-doctor privilege?
Might be.
Is that it? Because
This is important.
he should be, if he's recorded this without their knowledge, and without the FBI's knowledge and without Dr. Lecter's knowledge, now granted he's institutionalized, but then shouldn't there be some sort of repercussion for Chilton? In my opinion, that's what I thought when I saw this.
Maybe
And
that's
so-
why he flees.
Well,
Maybe that's why he leaves the country.
or yeah, it's that or Hannibal Lecter's out and he's number one on Hannibal
True.
Lecter's list of
I
bullshit.
think he's dumb. I don't think he really even thinks that Hannibal Lecter dislikes him or anything. You know,
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
He's not a smart guy.
I don't know. It's just kind of fun. He thinks I'm his nemesis.
I think
or,
I think if
it's
we,
a fun game we
I think
have.
if we ever met up, we'd be able to have a good talk about psychiatry. You
We'd
know?
have a beer and Chianti, you know?
Some ribs.
We do got to talk Jarrett Layoff.
Not mine.
No, not mine, of course. Jarrett Layoff, Confused Breakfast Actor Database. Any ideas here, guys? There are actually 3 different actresses, I'm not going to give it away, that have been in 3 movies apiece that we've done. Do you know what they are?
I think one of them is Frankie Faison.
No, that was only 2.
It's only 2.
Jodie Foster, we haven't had much.
Nope. These are off the wall ones. They're not some of your main characters.
Oh,
I know. Are you saving the best for last?
Sure.
Okay,
Boyle?
Save the best.
Sergeant
for last.
Boyle?
No, so Charles Napier.
Yeah, he's been in it.
This is his 3rd flick. He's been in Blues Brothers, Austin Powers. Speaking of the coroner,
that's Boyle.
His name is Tracy Walter. Oh, Boyle is Charles Napier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The coroner, the guy playing the piano, is Tracy Walter.
Yes.
He was Bob the Goon in Batman, and he was at like a
right,
behind
yes.
the scenes tech guy in Independence Day. But best of all time, this might be the 3rd time we've probably mentioned her. Precious.
Darla.
Oh,
Darla,
my God.
the dog. This is her 3rd movie she's been in. She was in The Burbs, and she was in Pee Wee Herman.
Guys, Confusey for best dog performance goes to Darla.
Is this a Lifetime Achievement Award?
This is her other movie
For
that
a
we
dog,
have.
it probably should be.
One other movie that we haven't covered yet is Batman Returns.
Yeah.
And we were absolutely going to get to it, and I'm like actually excited to complete her filmography. I'm like genuinely excited. I just think she really left her mark in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You know,
Yeah.
That was a big one. Yeah,
that was a really big one. And then she showed off her more comedic chops in The Burbs. I really like that about her. And then, but like here, she really shows off her dynamics as Buffalo Bill's accomplice.
Accomplice.
I really just like, I think it's a performance for the ages, and I think that she deserves our Confusey Award for best dog performance of all time. Darla, congratulations and rest in peace, my lady.
Posthumously accepted, of course.
We will get
Thank
back.
you, darling. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough.
Garrett's
But yeah, there's just a time when you have to realize that your career is just coming down, and you really have something left to give. And I felt that was this.
Oh my God!
Go back and listen to Pee Wee Herman with Gareth Reynolds. That was amazing.
Yes,
so
that's
good.
when we gave her flowers, if you will. So, okay. So listen, the scene that you think of when you think of this movie, when you finally see him in that mask. Is that what the first thing you think of when you think of this movie? Is that the iconic
I think
visual
yeah.
of this movie?
Probably. It's a close up of him, no matter what, in the mask or not. Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, why is it so terrifying? It's just, is it Anthony Hopkins? I mean, like, I don't know how much you read about him just in general in this role, but like, did you realize that he wasn't a somebody when this movie came out?
Yeah, not really.
He viewed this film as a last-ditch effort to break out into Hollywood. Like he had acted in movies and television since the 60s, but he never reached A-list status. He never achieved prestige. He basically said that this role was all or nothing for him. He was going to do it, and if it didn't work out, he was just going to quit and just stop doing it. But this role clearly wins him the Oscar for Best Actor, and it just absolutely launches him into being one of the most iconic actors of all time.
And one of the shortest Best Actor performances in
Oh my
film
God.
history. 16 minutes of a 2 hour and some change movie.
Yeah.
It's less than 20% of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the second. Somebody said it was the second shortest or something like that of all time.
Yeah.
Of someone winning. We talked about it with Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton. That he was only in the movie for X amount of time, but he just was a whirlwind storm when he entered. That's the same. Anytime he shows up on film in this movie, you're just, oh my God, I'm frightened by you, but I'm intrigued.
It's the filmmaking along with his performance too. The choice of that to have that demi close up of him at all times staring you straight in the eye as an audience member. You just cannot take your eyes off him because of him and because it's so goddamn close right up in his eyes, you know.
It's
commanding.
He just did a lot of things in this role and in the movie and just throughout the whole performance of it that his piercing eyes, the slurps, he does that several times, like under his breath almost, like you catch it here and there.
Also
it's
improvised.
so interesting. Yeah, and improvised. I don't think the director even really liked it that much.
He didn't.
To a certain degree.
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
It's like, don't worry about it.
Okay.
And
fine.
It became a thing. Everybody else liked it.
Yeah.
So it was just that performance that he gives, man. It is a commanding performance. It just eerie. I don't know. It's wild. Every time he's on screen, you're right.
And this whole like exchange, I guess, in the airport is fucking brutal too. Because did you breastfeed her? When a man loses a leg, he can still feel a sensation. Tell me, Senator, when your daughter is on a cold slab, are you feeling her on your nipples when she's dead? Oh, dude,
Man.
He says it in a more elegant and way better way, but holy shit, that's fucking brutal. But then he's like, he does reveal the name of James Gum,
Right.
So, you know, I don't know.
He's like, I'm not just gonna give this to you. I
Yeah.
got to get some licks in here. You know.
Is that
By the way,
when he
I
does
love
that?
your suit.
Yeah. One last thing. Love your suit.
Yeah.
Jesus.
God damn it! He just cuts.
I'm trying
cuts
to
you
think.
so deep.
That reminded me something there was another performance that deeply reminded me of. It's like a Willem Dafoe kind of a thing. That's the other person I thought could have played this role
Wow.
of Hannibal Lecter was
Who, sorry?
Willem
Willem
Dafoe.
Dafoe.
Oh, okay.
Because
Maybe,
when he
yeah.
says that, and it was only when he said that line, "Love your suit," I was like, "Thanks, Green Goblin."
with his nose like
Yeah.
like it's just on a metal bar right there. I'm like, wow.
And is this when he reveals Jamie Gum,
Yeah.
or is was he still
It's
on
here.
Lewis Friend?
Louis' friend was, I think,
That was-
after she found the head, I think.
Yeah, I don't
What?
remember exactly.
Or no, you're right. I think you're right because they only discover it's James Gum. I think when Crawford is on the plane headed
Right.
to go get him.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Lewis Friend, and it's another
No, he gives
anagram.
He gives a description
That-
of Buffalo
and
Bill.
it's an accurate description
Yes.
that he gives at that point in time. Yes.
Did you hear? There's a couple great theories about this. That one of my favorite ones is that Hannibal Lecter basically created Buffalo Bill, like as an insurance policy. I don't know if you read this. It's unbelievable. We know that Hannibal Lecter was the psychiatrist of Buffalo Bill, the serial killer that Clarice Starling wants to catch. They propose this on Reddit that what if Hannibal purposely messed with Buffalo Bill's mind, subconsciously turned him into a serial killer. That way, if Lecter ever got caught and sent to prison, the authorities would have no choice but to consult Lecter on the Buffalo Bill case in the future because he's the only person that knows everything about Buffalo Bill. So Lecter saw psychological indications of psychopathy in Buffalo Bill, and instead of trying to cure him, he just kind of wanted to have some fun with him. He pushed him further towards becoming a serial killer. We know that Lester's very clever and intelligent based on his meetings with Clarice. He knew that the authorities would need his help catching him later on. He knew that they would give him leverage to get out of his cell if he ever became captured. He knew exactly how to play his cards, manipulate Clarice enough to send him to a less fortified cell with meals of his choice where he ordered lamb chops because he knew they'd be perfect for picking the lock. They went on to say Buffalo Bill was never anything more than just an insurance policy for Hannibal Lecter. We assume he probably toyed with a lot of his patients, put him out into the real world, and then when he found the really fucked up ones, he started grooming them to potentially become serial killers as like an insurance policy or just a fun way to fuck with humanity.
Yeah,
it's kind of a fun way to think about it.
There's a lot of things in there, but there's different things that I don't agree with in there.
Yeah.
And
he uses the lamb chops to get out.
Yeah, that was I think somebody said I was
just
reading
before
this.
you get roasted on our
Oh
TikTok.
yeah,
I know.
No, we're gonna leave that for sure. The bones of the lamb chop, I think he knew would be a way to pick a lock.
Okay.
And if he didn't
get the
Chilton's pen.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, no, my new way of making TikTok videos are leaving things in there that are wrong.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the only way we get people to watch it and yell at us. So.
Well, so just for our show, because the people on TikTok who like want to hate us and stuff, or Instagram, they don't actually listen to the show. I will say that I don't believe that Jamie Gunn was actually a patient of his. It was his patient was in cahoots or in love or had a relationship with Jamie Gunn.
Ah, gotcha.
And so, just like I said, just throwing that one out there. But I like what you're saying. I like what that's saying about a lot
There's
of
an
that
even
shit.
better one kind of later on that'll definitely get people riled up. So we'll talk about that one.
All
later.
right. It might coincide with the one that I've come across or think about.
Well,
So
I guess
I'll
you're just going to have to listen to
I'll
these messages
save
real
it.
quick.
Once those comments start rolling in on that TikTok, I can be okay with myself because in our show, the integrity of it is still here because we did correct those.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Oh, thank God.
It's okay. Anyways, it's okay, Hannibal.
Well, let's go to scene 4. As the manhunt begins, Starling travels to Lecter's special cell in a local Tennessee courthouse where she confronts him about the false information he gave the senator. Lecter leaves her with the case file before she's escorted out of the building by security guards. Later that evening, Lecter escapes from his cell after tricking the SWAT team.
Can we start this off by talking about Ted Levine and his performance as
Yeah,
Buffalo
I would
Bill?
love to, man.
What do you guys think about it? There's interviews with him saying that this is like one of his roles that he most covets. Yeah, and I think he does a really, really good job here as just like a sort of like almost sympathetic, like because when he's like saying, "Put the letters in the basket," he's like almost his lip is quivering and like he's almost sad that she's crying so much. And but then like kind of like gets back into his like almost character of being a serial killer.
He doesn't. He kind of listens to her when she's like, "Please, I have a family," and he's like, "No," like no personalization of the.
He calls it.
Yes,
yeah.
and they even say that about when the family's saying, "Bring her home," and
right,
and they're personalizing her.
Yeah,
Catherine. Her name's Catherine. My daughter Catherine.
Yes.
They're saying her name a lot. Yeah.
He is sympathetic, but at the same time not.
Not like personally, but like
yes.
There's some like semblance of him being like a normal person,
It's
or
still
like
a
he
human
does have
being
empathy.
that was maybe had a normal trajectory in life
Yeah.
at some point,
Yeah.
and now he doesn't. I wonder. My question about Ted Levine in this is: did this hurt his career?
Man, it doesn't seem so.
Well, like,
That's a
did
tough
he
call.
ever go on to a major role in anything?
Nothing major. I mean, he's always been there.
I remember the first time I saw him in something later on in life, and somebody was like, "Hey, that's Buffalo Bill. That's the fucking guy that sucks his dick."
Was it the Fast and the Furious?
Maybe it was. And I remember
seriously.
just being like, like I kind of got weirded out by the fact because he plays this role so well that sometimes it's kind of hard for me to like get out of it, to be like,
He looks like
that's
a
just
man's man nowadays.
Yes, he does.
Well, especially with a huge gruff voice like that too.
Well, and I think honestly, that's just on that note. I think that's the part of this that makes his character. It adds so much. It's like it would be hard to see a lot of other people playing this role, just because of the way he did it. His voice really, and there's even that kind of little bit of speech impediment style thing that he kind of does or plays into a little bit, like like that kind of thing. But I think that he just does it so well, and you very well could be right. I mean, either this could have hindered like getting some other roles maybe, but also if he didn't do this, what else would he do?
I don't know.
You know, was there something else big that was going to happen for him? Who knows? This is a fucking role.
Yeah,
that is iconic.
And the scene of scenes coming up later,
Oh,
obviously,
man.
like that's incredible.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. I don't know about you guys, but this whole exchange between Clarice and him, he's in his new cell, and then the tension of just how this all goes down, the absolute master class of how he escapes, and the writing of this is like, it's one of the fucking best.
Yeah.
Like this is incredible. This whole of how he gets there and how he escapes. I'm in awe every time I watch this.
She finally gets, or he gets the rest of the lamb story out of her, and the choice the shot choice of to have the demi close up, which is just staring down the barrel of the camera, but like the bars are in the frame.
Yep.
But it slowly pulls in as she gets the story done, and the bars are gone for both of them. They both have each other now. It was just like, it was a really cool visual thing where I'm like, oh yeah, the bars separating them are just like gone now.
They're gone now.
Now he has her, and she kind of has him as well. I was like, yes, Demi. Jonathan Demi.
Oh man! Oh my God! No. See, and this is the thing, like hearing those things, like kind of come to life at this point. Like I'm remembering it now. I'm like, man, oh man, there's just so many well laid out things in here. But I come back to fucking Chilton. This is all Chilton's fault.
All Chilton's fault.
It's all his fault, because that's sometimes I hate like plot points like this, but at the same time, it's like it is extremely necessary. It's all his fault because the FBI recognizes we don't give this man leeway.
No.
We don't do that. Of course there's no actual deal. Are you freaking kidding? And then it's like, oh, Chilton's like, I'll make the deal happen. Then I'll maybe have a night on the town with Clarice or some shit. You know, that's what drives me nuts. And he's out there with the fucking press and just he's distracted by that. I don't know. It drives me up a fucking wall. And now we finally get to see the actual monster that Lecter is.
Because you're wondering, like, is he really that bad? Like, he does kind of seem like a nice guy.
I mean, yeah, he made a guy swallow his tongue, but
he was a bad guy.
It's not really. That guy was a bad guy.
They're all bad guys.
They're all bad guys.
Anybody could swallow their tongue. You know, like
that guy threw cum all over. Like, fuck him. I'm glad he died.
I was just talking to him.
That guy was
saying swallow your tongue necessarily.
I can't make him swallow his tongue. The guy
I was locked up. Remember?
The guy's a cum chucker. All right. Do we need another one of them in the world?
You know what? It's good he's gone, right?
Yeah.
Are we worried that he's gone now?
Right.
Has everything changed for the worse?
Look, I made room down here. It's quieter down here. Everybody loves it. I think we're
Barney
happy.
told me, hey, good job.
Yeah.
Barney loves it.
Barney was stoked because he wasn't getting fucking cum thrown out.
2 out of 5 days a week, he's getting cum.
He's getting just cum thrown
and
at
now
him.
he can walk peacefully down the halls.
That's why Barney has to wear white.
Barney,
because he just was tired of getting fucking.
Barney is the huggable face, but he did not offer the poncho he usually wears to Clarice.
There's a cummable face in this story too,
Well,
apparently, and that's what we all hate. And
stop it.
Here's the thing, Pembray. There's the lovable face of this whole thing, as Sean was saying.
It got ripped off.
You love a face so much, you just want it for yourself. You know, you covet.
Lecter shitting.
Dude,
After she leaves.
I never realized that's what he was doing.
Yeah,
but he's behind the little curtain,
the little piano thing, and he's just like he's just so peaceful, just piano, just like almost meditating while shitting. And I'm just like, that's the most typical thing for Hannibal Lecter to do.
That guy probably just puts out rabbit shits.
So even his just. Even when he shits, it's exquisite.
Calm, cool, collected
even
shits.
Serial killer shit, guys.
Like, yeah, they do.
I'm teaching my daughter we're getting ready for potty training. It's like, well, hey, mommy poops,
Exquisite.
daddy poops. Hannibal Lecter poops. We all poop.
Harrison's been trying to go for a long time. He's like, he goes and sits. He's like, now what do I do?
We good?
It's just supposed to happen, right? It's just supposed to happen, right?
They don't get it.
Yeah. Nope, fart. Sorry. No, this is a wild scene. This is. How did you guys feel about these two guards, though? I guess like these guards. I mean, they're police officers. It's not like they're like wrongdoing him in any way, right?
No,
Like we're not.
It doesn't matter.
There's no perception there of like
He's not. They're not mistreating him. I mean,
that
no,
kind of an idea.
No, this
It's
is
just
his.
like-
This is his out.
more or
He's
less.
out.
These guys are just annoyed to be there because they've relocated him to this city, right?
And they don't want to be. Why would you ever want to be
Why-
in a room with that guy?
Why would I want to be in a room with him? It's like I'm a beat cop. Why the fuck am I here? You know?
Put Chris Isaac in there. Why do I have to be here?
For the love of God.
That's Chris Isaac's second movie with us in like 3 weeks or
Yeah,
something like
not
that.
even a month or something.
Wild.
It's so fucking weird.
Hannibal Lecter playing those wicked games. You know?
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, this is this is a brutal. This is the brutal scene, guys. Like this is I think this is
Just
where it gets.
the
This
way-
is the reality of this person.
As I say, like even his shits are exquisite. His exquisite shits. Thank you very much.
God damn.
Even the
Exquisite.
gleeful way that he's taking that baton and just beating the shit. It's like he's conducting his orchestra. He's
Oh my God.
like he's finally getting the blood let out. You know,
Yeah.
like getting the lead out. You know, I don't know. It just seems like he's excising something. He's like, yes, I'm fucking finally here, doing what he loves. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just so.
An artist
what he
finally
loves.
getting to
Scary.
paint.
He hasn't been able to
Yes.
paint in a long time, and now he finally he's getting back on the
He's
drums.
doing those broad strokes.
Man, yeah, he is. And then he gets the details done with that knife later. This is guys. So again, I didn't know that this was what was going to happen. I actually didn't know. I didn't know this. I knew that there was something about faces and like Hannibal Lecter style, and I've heard that idea before, right? Did not know this was the thing.
So you're completely taken off guard by this
First
whole
time
thing.
watching, completely taken off guard.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Like this is just one of the best writing. It's just incredible.
It's
I
so
thought,
well done.
I thought, oh sure, he escaped. You put together. Oh yeah, I mean,
He's faking dead, and then he's gonna he's on top of the elevator.
No, I even got past that. I was like, okay, so I bet he switched clothes with the guy, and he probably walked out some other way as a cop. You know, that's okay.
No.
I get it. No, I'm on with this. And then he fucking sits up in that ambulance. I'm like, oh my
Michael
God.
Myers style, dude.
yeah.
I was like, when he pulls that off, like when he pulls the face off his face, literally
off.
face off.
Face off. How do you think they got the idea, dude?
God damn,
This movie.
dude.
I guarantee it.
Off. Dude, it blew my mind. I was so taken aback at that point.
And it's like I think it's the only time in the film where the direction takes it, or like your perspective is taken from Clarice to something else, where it's just kind of more of an omniscient happening.
Yeah.
You're just
Dude.
kind of like just seeing what's happening instead of like the perspective of Clarice, you know. And it works. So it's risky. That is a risky thing to do when you're like your central protagonist is telling the story through her eyes, and then going to this. But you're right. It's just so well written and so well directed and performed by all these guys and women, obviously. But like, it's just so well done.
Dude, yeah.
There's actually an unofficial sequel to this movie. It's just doesn't link up because Hannibal Lecter's not in the second movie. But the guy on top of the elevator, his name is SWAT communicator Grady. He's got his big break to work this Hannibal Lecter case. Unfortunately, his team doesn't end up catching Hannibal Lecter. They let one of the most dangerous criminals in history escape for good. Multiple people are dead. Cops are dead. His team is all left with kind of like a black mark from this on their record, and they can't get hired anywhere. He's eventually realizing that his dreams of moving up the ranks of SWAT are finished. And frankly, after what he's seen, he's relieved. He doesn't want anything to do with this kind of crazy world of SWAT team. But his deep-rooted desire to become an officer and be out in the field, serving, protecting his community is still there. So he moves to a little town called Spurbury, where he quite likes the quiet life of small-town living. No serial killers there, only a great police force that will eventually start butting heads with the state troopers over budget cuts. So Super Troopers is in the same universe as Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the
Yeah,
Lambs.
of course.
Okay.
Daniel von Bargen was on top of the elevator.
We
Yep.
everyone knows this.
Everybody
Yeah.
knows this, guys.
This is
I probably
common
won't even make a
knowledge.
video of this because
No.
it's like the people are like, I knew that.
No, this is common knowledge.
Everybody knew that
Yeah.
about Power Rangers, you fucking idiots.
Duh!
Oh! God damn it. The nerds are having a heyday right now, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so
Nuts.
sorry.
They're
Jesus
going
Christ.
nuts, dude.
Oh my god.
Okay, well, do you want to finish this here?
I first want to say that George A. Romero makes a cameo in this movie as Chilton comes in. He's got all his guys with him, and they're taking away Clarice. George A. Romero, director of Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, the master, the maestro, is just like kind of in the background. He's kind of a bigger guy, older guy with a beard. Love him, and I just want to say that they were filmed this in Pittsburgh, which is why George A. Romero's there. He's just friends. Jonathan Demme's just friends
wanted to
with
be there.
George. He's like, hey, come on in and just hang out. Behind the scenes of this, and even like the commentary with Jonathan Demme, just seems like he's the coolest. He was the coolest motherfucker.
Really?
Like all the behind the scenes footage I see is just him laughing with Jody and laughing with Anthony. And he came, like Roger Corman's also in this movie. He's the FBI director.
Right.
Yep.
He came from Roger Corman's school of filmmaking. He worked on Death Race, or he directed Death Race. And so he's just kind of given his buddy or his like kind of mentor a little thing. I just like to think that it's like I'm making this, what he doesn't know at the time, this prestigious Oscar movie for Orion Pictures, just getting his buddies,
Having fun.
George, Roger, Chris Isaac, whatever, come in and hang out and come be in my movie. No more deserving man could have gotten a best director, I don't think. Like, I just think if you guys have the time, go and look up his interviews. He just seems like the most humble and coolest dude ever.
Hell
It just
yeah.
this kind of exploitation horror filmmaking kind of mind making this movie with his horror buddies. I just love it. I love it so
rad.
much. Anyway,
Well, let's do the final scene. So Starling pores over her case file, travels to Frederica Bimmels, where she makes an important discovery. Crawford and his team go to the wrong house, while Clarice ends up at Buffalo Bill's house. After realizing it's him, Buffalo Bill lures her into the basement with the lights off. Just as she's about to be killed, she fires at Bill, killing him and rescuing Catherine Martin. She graduates from the FBI and receives a phone call from Lecter, who plans on killing Dr. Chilton. I do have a question, though. How does she figure all this out when she is at Frederica's house? They go very quickly over. She's there. She's in the room. How does she realize that he knew her and that
they realize when she's talking to her friend.
Yeah.
yeah.
Before she's traveling there, they're going through like the pictures, and like he says Dr. Lecter says on a map, aren't these a little like
Yeah,
weirdly
these are random,
spaced out?
almost
Yeah.
too random kind of a thing.
Yeah, and so like he's I think they're thinking that he's purposely going away from this town, or like, where he's like doing all
Yeah.
of this. And so I think they kind of put it together that way, where it's like covet what you know every day. He knew her.
And-
like he obviously, I mean, like it makes sense too, like the first victim trying out serial killing, I guess.
Yeah,
would be
okay.
someone that
With
you
someone
know.
that you knew.
And that's usually sort of the case, I believe.
Yeah. Well, and then they make the mention that she was the first victim, but she was the third one found. And that also played into the fact of like why things seem so random.
Mm-hmm.
And now that the third one, and then yes, going back to that, Sean, it's like you covet what you see every day. And so I don't know if they ever really dig in though to how they did know each other. If there was
don't
anything,
really.
or it was just something that he just saw her.
It's something I sort of, yeah, I agree that it was a little discombobulated, but I think I put it together where she goes to Bimmel's house and sees her like what, sewing kit or whatever,
Yeah.
and shit, and she sees like the back taking
Yeah,
out
back,
of
yeah.
the thing, and so that leads her to be like, well, like he was into sewing, he was into this, he was into he was into all this, he's making a skin suit, and then Crawford obviously says, well, no, we got him, but then she's still goes and checks it out,
Yeah.
like a friend that knew her, I think, right, in that restaurant, and says, well, she worked with this woman who also was involved with this guy, I think, right?
That's what I mean.
I'm pretty
It's like,
sure
It just doesn't even matter. It's like
I was trying to point it out in my head. I was trying to explain it to myself as well as my wife when we watched it this morning. I was like, yeah, but I think she knew. I know that he knew, and that's her house is who was training them both to sew.
Okay.
Or
I think
make garments together.
Now that's the part that kind of comes together. But then she finds those photos behind that little box, and so she's obviously doing something promiscuous for herself.
I think that he took those photos.
Oh, you
definitely.
Think?
Oh yeah.
See,
for sure.
and that's what I'm trying to get at is they had some sort of relationship, but Buffalo Bill obviously has an identity crisis himself, and then from there. He sees her every single day and he wants to be a woman, but he can't be a woman. So he's going to make a woman suit for himself to become a woman. And doing that, he learned to sew from the person that probably taught her or something, or he saw every day in doing
That's
so.
my thinking, yeah.
And so...
You put together way better than I could.
Well, I put it together because I was working off of what you're saying.
Okay.
We did it together, okay?
Right.
Here at Confused Breakfast, we're a unit, all right? But no, that's the thing, and that's to make a long story short for that, I guess, Michael, that question is the cats. I also saw another thing that they kind of play a part in this. And again, it doesn't mean, though, that she would know that this little cat figurine in front of this jewelry box or music box is going to lead to these pictures. And then it does unfold rather quickly, like you're saying.
I like that.
I do, too.
Just let's go. Let's get to this.
We get
these
it
next
done.
iconic scenes.
Yeah, we do. We finally get it done. And then we do get this kind of iconic finish up, this back and forth of where the FBI is and then where Clarice goes.
I don't know if it's the first movie that's ever done this, but it's one of the best that's ever done it. The misdirection of a door opens and you think it's these people, but it's actually somebody else. It gets me every time.
It does.
I love it when I see this, and you can probably attest to the fact that many people have done this, but I think it's one of the best.
I think I agree. I mean, even the choice to just do this, it was supposed to be just kind of fluid. They had a cut where it was just kind of fluid, and I think it was Demi was saying no, let's spruce this up and throw off the audience a little bit. And it's just so well done. You could say you don't even need it to be this way, but it's just that much more satisfying when you just realize when I was watching it today with my wife, and it showed Starling at his house, open up the door. He's like, "Hi, I'm Clarice Starling with the FBI." She was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, it still works.
It still works. But before that, you have the Goodbye Horses scene, which, by the way, if I'm going to get kidnapped, I'll at least be pretty excited if my kidnapper has good taste in music.
Good taste in music. Okay. Yeah.
What I mean,
so you'd be down that well. You'd be down that well, and as he's listening to that, you're just like, oh my God, how am I going to get out of here?
No.
How am I going to get out of here? Goodbye. Fuck. God damn it. That song is just so catchy.
You know what I would do? I'd be like, God, I wish I had my fucking phone. I could Shazam this. I want to know what song this is.
No.
That's an artist named Q Lazarus. It's one of the only songs I've heard by Q Lazarus.
Yeah.
But our boy Chino Moreno of Deftones has a side project called Crosses, and they did a cover of that just recently, and it's so good. That song is so... It's so good on its own, but then again, you combine it with this scene, and you're just like, yeah,
yeah. And the close-ups and everything. I want to talk about the Tak Fujimoto's cinematography, especially here in this scene. I think what he does really well. I think I said it in the replacements as well. Is just normal, white, maybe not even fluorescent, but just white flooding light. Mm-hmm. I think he's the best at that. From what I've seen, especially going back to when she's in the Storage Wars scene, that old guy, just the light on the side of his face just looks so crisp and so good. But all the close-ups, I don't think anybody does a close-up like a Demi Fujimoto combination. It's just so well done and so immersive. It's when he's putting the moth on his face, so beautiful, so chaotic or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's something about it. It's just so evocative.
Oh man, what was I gonna say here? There's a there was a point like during it's like during the dance or whatever. Like it's so you start to see he's putting on his makeup and stuff, like lipstick, and then what I noticed though too was that in the room that she was that she found the pictures in, next to a photo, there's another picture of like some kind of like, you know, like a pretty woman, like a dolled up woman, like 80s woman or something like that. And then when it pulls back, that's what Ted Levine looks like. And I noticed this like, so then I started to think about this again. I know I'm diving in too deep here. Then I noticed again, I'm like, so now I'm thinking that those two commiserated, Buffalo Bill and his first victim commiserated in this idea of beauty, and that's what they were both after to some degree, because those pictures were like on her wall, like pegged in, as opposed to like other portraits, right? And then it just dials back, and you're just like, the goodbye horses scene and like the dance and everything, like. My first takes on this, but what were your like in watching it? But what is this to you guys? Is this just like part of the ritual?
No, he's just a psychopath. Like he's just alone in his basement, killing women and like getting closer to becoming one, like making his skin suit. He's just daydreaming about like getting fucked, you know, like and looking hot.
Yeah, I mean it's like. I don't know. It's just it's like, well, hey, but wait a second though. Like this isn't the weird part, right? This isn't the weird part. It's all the other shit that's weird, right? Is that what we're thinking?
Of tucking your dick?
Yeah, you know.
No, we've all done it.
Putting the makeup on. Everybody dances.
We've all done that.
Everybody dances around in robes.
This isn't weird at all.
This isn't the weird part.
The fact that he's got a well. Like I don't know any houses that have wells in their basement. Like holes in the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I was 8 years old once. I'm just like, what the fuck is this thing? What the hell is that? I wonder what it looked like if I...
What if I didn't have it?
Oh, yeah.
Well...
It's so good. I love...
Just give a little dance. See how it shakes.
The subtleness of that scene when he actually you see him think to tuck his dick.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, I should do that. And then he does it, but he kind of like... looks awkwardly off to the side when he does it, like hope nobody's watching, even though of course nobody's watching.
Yeah.
It just shows his just mental incapacity of just he's just unhinged.
Yeah,
completely.
Yeah. It's the thing of like his. I don't know. I just like I've tried to like pour through this part of like or this ritual that they kind of keep trying to break down further and further. The FBI does. And it's just like. I don't know where all of this plays into. Like, is he getting really close to killing her or something? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, maybe he's building up. Yeah, this could be his ritual. I see what you're saying now.
That is
of just like getting like he's almost got his suit complete. We see, like on the thing.
He's working on it at one point. Yeah. I don't know. I was just trying to figure out more about it, and then I'm thinking. Then we get the interruption, and again, when she opens that door, and it's just like your heart fucking sinks.
And when she finally realizes it's him, it's she's not even an FBI agent. She's not equipped to do this. I'm so fucking fast out of this house. I am not drawing my gun. I'm being like, hey, thanks so much for everything. I real quick, I gotta, you're not who I was looking for. I gotta get out of here, and I'm out of the house. And I'm calling for backup. Even when she does call for him and he runs in the basement, I'm not going down there.
No.
I'm sure this is against all protocol and training.
Yes.
You don't do that. You get outside somehow, you get a neighbor, you call, and you make sure that you have to let people know you're there.
You give Crawford in the AC 130 above the address to his place, and you let them send rockets
the fucking
on
rain.
that thing. Yeah. As she's walking, you know, explosions in the background, just walking away from it. That's what you need to do at this point. But I guess she's brave.
I guess
she's more brave than I am.
Are you kidding me? Sean, everything from this point on is nothing that I would ever do.
I remember first watching this, man, and I'm just like so fucking on edge at this point.
Dude, I've seen this 20 times and I fucking hate it. I'm so on edge, man. This is a haunted house for me. Not people jumping out with chainsaws. Like this exact scenario, if you were like, yeah, we're gonna set you up in this basement, you're gonna see how weird it is. You're gonna see a tub with dead, decomposing human beings in there. You're gonna smell what it smells like. You're gonna know a killer's here, and we're gonna turn the lights off on you.
And then it's gonna go dark. And then, by the way,
that's the most terrifying haunted house that could ever be created.
The best way to end that is they take pictures, night vision pictures of how close that killer got to you without you knowing.
Yeah, no, you get out. Like
you
we'll
get,
let you
get out.
5 minutes later, we're gonna turn the lights on, and be like,
hey,
you
all
did
right,
it. Pretty scary. How dark,
you
scary
survived.
thing. And then they show you night vision how close the killer was with a gun to your head.
With a gun to your head, like how close it was to just actually touching you, because it was literally like this. And we have night vision photos to prove it. There it is. That's so fucking weird.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, like this. That is my nightmare. That is a nightmare through and through. Man, oh man, this is the night vision shit, guys. It got me. I'll tell you that. Like in a good way. I'll say it was in a good way, but this was pretty fucking wild. It's a wild fucking ride of a movie,
and then, like,
guys.
in her performance here too, is like just reacting and like opening these doors and everything. Like just her eyes, and like when she sees Mrs. Littman in the fucking tub just decomposing. One of my favorite Demi close-up things is, or like down the barrel things, is when like the camera's like slightly shifting with the gun with her, and like she's I think she sees Mrs. Littman at this point. It's just all of her facial reactions and all of her like exasperated but scared, but also trying to keep what's her name, calm.
Catherine.
It's just like
Don't you leave me here, you fucking bitch.
I hate Catherine at this
I
point.
know.
Like, hey,
now
dude.
I'm just like, God, you suck.
But Catherine's also like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, you got to
Go
think about
outside
it.
and get back up.
Yeah.
You're going to be in this hole with me, and then what are we going to do?
I know.
Send the ladder down. Get that bucket down here or something.
Yeah, get a second person up there working for you, dude.
Yeah.
It's brilliant from start to finish how this gets to this point, how she's almost dead, and Buffalo Bill is almost continuing on his mission to nope. She hears the click. She instinctively, all of her training kicks in, and she does it. It's unbelievable.
You can't check a corner in the dark, but you can when it clicks.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Why are you dead? I didn't check the corner. Where's your danger area? The corner. Like, yeah, you didn't check it. So that was the little training scene that they brought back. Yeah. It was, man, it's damn good.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, and then even the last scene, that I'm having an old friend for dinner. I find this so weird because you're sort of rooting for Hannibal Lecter.
Oh yeah.
And that is the weirdest moment when a movie can do that, because like we hate the doctor, and we know how terrible of a person Hannibal Lecter is, but we also know he's not coming for Clarice. Oh, what a nice guy.
Yeah.
That would be rude of him.
We're like excited that he's free and's going to go kill somebody and then probably kill more people. And that's how it ends.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you can do that, but I think it's only because of his performance as Hannibal Lecter and how we're kind of rooting for him.
Having an old friend for dinner. Even that line is just like, wow, man. Yeah, you are charming. Yeah, go eat that guy.
Go get him.
Yeah, go have him for dinner.
He's a
Go do you,
douchebag.
man. You do you. The one thing I was going to say is when that's the way I kind of felt when he was about to escape. It's like you're almost kind of rooting for him to escape, but you certainly weren't rooting for him to do that.
Yeah.
No.
You know? Oh, yeah, he should
I hope
get
he gets free.
He doesn't seem
Oh.
too bad. Oh.
Yeah, especially
Oh,
really bad.
God. He trimmed that face right off.
especially even after that, what we don't see, we just hear about. He killed the people in the ambulance and he killed a
The
tourist.
ambulance and a tourist.
Like
Took his clothes
killed
and his
a
money.
lot of people to get to where he is. And,
You go, bud.
now you're right. We are rooting for him a little bit.
Yeah.
Wild.
And then, I have prop, by the way.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, here's a prop.
I want that FBI cake. I don't know why. I'm just like, That's too perfect of a cake.
Yep.
I want that cake.
I want the little bottle with the cocoon in it.
That's nice. I want the risque photo of Frederica, the Polaroid, for our wall.
Oh,
where
good
she's
for
like,
you, man.
she's like, "What's up, girl?"
Yeah.
Jarrett Layoff wanted the night vision gear. Obviously, that's pretty
pretty
sick.
tight.
Checks
Pretty
out,
tight, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Checks out.
Well,
Did
boys,
you have your
anything-
theory?
Well, dude, we're going so long on
I
this.
know.
Like, it's a very long theory. Let's make a separate thing on it. Unless you want to hear it, it's up to you. It's Hannibal Lecter's The Devil.
Oh,
That's
well,
the one.
that
It's
is
deep.
not the one I had.
It's very deep. It's got a lot of religious
All right.
overtones.
Why don't we do that on a?
You'll
yeah.
hear about it on socials.
What about you?
Well, my thing was that the one that I had read, I'll keep it short, was that he really knew about it the whole time, pretty much in the same vein of like he kind of put it
trained him,
together.
yeah.
But in the same way, it's that he knew about this all the entire time. But my favorite detail that was brought to light on it was the very first thing, and she says, "Well, what are you drawing, doctor?" It's like, is that Italy? It's like, that's the Duomo from the view of the Belvedere. And then they find him in Belvedere, Ohio.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh my God.
He knew all about it.
You knew, you bitch. Yeah.
He is
And
a
that
little
was my
bitch.
favorite detail that came to light about it. I don't know if maybe that's common knowledge, guys. This is my
Wasn't
first
for
time
me.
watching, so.
No, for me.
All right.
All right, boys, we've stripped this classic away from its nostalgic roots to modern day eye. We got to give it a rating. AJ, let's start with you, man. What are your final thoughts and ratings on this one?
You guys know how I feel about the spookies.
Oh, we know, bro.
You know, no, guys, it's kind of an undeniable thing. I mean, you can't watch this movie and not be enthralled by certain aspects of it. They do such a great job of skirting that line of grotesque. You know, you get to see that, but they don't linger too long. And then you have maybe just like some of the greatest character development in such a, honestly, what kind of feels like a short span of time. I don't really ever feel like this movie drags you out, or drags you along. I think that the performances just really keep feeding you, and the way that they are cutting and doing those match cuts, they're pacing it very well. Man, it's a great movie. Like, you don't need somebody like me to tell you that this is obviously a wonderful, like, amazing movie. So, I mean, for what it's worth, though, I will give this a 9.1.
9.1.
Damn.
Shauner, what about you, bro?
Yeah, there isn't really a wasted shot in this movie whatsoever. I think that it's probably maybe the best directed movie that we've covered so far, and one of the best scripts that we've covered, and one of the best performances. I performed a movie that there's no other way to say it. There's only, kind of like RoboCop, there's only one thing that I don't like about this movie, and it's really, really minor, and it's the only when they're bringing Lecter into the airport to meet the senator, he's like, sign this for me, Dr. Chilton. He's like, oh, I don't have my pen. And that kind of that Russian on Lecter, I'm like, I didn't need that.
No, didn't need that at all.
We already got it. Yeah, and that's the only thing, and it's really minor. Yeah, like I said, amazing performances. I could watch this movie anytime. I love the procedural aspect of it. Love that kind of thing. Best directed movie we covered. This is a 9.6.
9.6.
Wow.
You guys nailed it. This is just unbelievable. This is an unbelievable movie that sometimes, you know, you build it up so high in your head, you're like, it's not going to be as good as I remember it. And it's even better. You sit there through 2 hours and it flies by because there's not a wasted shot. Like Sean said, I love this movie. I'm going to give it a 9.3, which is pretty high on my list.
Damn.
Got to go to Starling. He says, first of all, let's all give a round of applause for the documentary on my cousin Clarice Starling. We're all so proud of her for not only getting into the FBI, but excelling there. Despite being a trainee who gets assigned the most gruesome serial killer case of the decade. Sure, Jack Crawford definitely has more than a professional interest in her.
Okay.
But pretend it's her potential within the Bureau that landed the assignment. We're on the same page there.
There are only two people to touch her. Hannibal Lecter and him.
She's basically legally blonding her way through this investigation. But you know what? I don't blame him. Watching this again, I'm reminded how iconic Jodie Foster is in this role. Here's an A-list actress with decades of work, and yet many of us can probably name less than 5 of her movies we've seen. I'm a Lamb's Panic Room and Maverick guy myself.
Nice.
I'm a Contact guy. I'm a big fan of
Oh,
Contact.
wow.
Big Contact guy.
Yep. Still, it doesn't matter. Foster's Clarice is surprisingly likable despite never smiling or trying to charm anyone. She's not the typical FBI agent you see in movies. There's no seasoned expert here, just someone learning on the job and alone. There's an innocence and natural beauty about her, but it's her quiet determination that wins you over. I love that this movie starts as a hunt for a serial killer, and then a third of the way through, Hannibal Lecter struts in like he owns the place, shifting the story to be completely about him. He's terrifying, and yet he's stuck behind thick glass for almost the entire film. "Don't touch the glass" is uttered once, and meanwhile, we are all worried, "Clarice, don't touch the glass." Kudos to him, though. He's behind bars and still manages to keep us on edge. However, he's also the ultimate ride or die, ladies. Find yourself a man who, when someone disrespects you by throwing semen in your face, they verbally convince that guy to kill himself. Now that's a gentleman. Rewatching it with a more critical eye, I'm not as convinced Clarice is the hotshot I once thought she was. Sure, she's probably top of her class at the academy, but am I supposed to believe she's outwitting Hannibal Lecter, one of the greatest criminal masterminds of her day? Or did he know all along he could manipulate her? The whole deal with the senator was clearly a lie. Was he playing her from the start? Meanwhile, there's a guy skidding people to make a suit, and we're all way more interested in Lecter. Speaking of Buffalo Bill, can we talk about Catherine, Senator Martin's daughter? It's like Nancy Pelosi gave birth to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Thank you.
I've seen this movie 6 or 7 times, and
Thank
every
you.
single viewing, that question comes back to me. She's an edgy and crafty gal who is a little rough around the edges. She's great in the few minutes we have with her on screen, though. And while we're at it, the sting operation to catch Buffalo Bill was a mess and also doesn't make sense. That SWAT team hiding behind a Flourish van that they walked behind was about as subtle as pretending to hide under a fire hydrant while Crawford's head is showing through the driver's side the entire time.
It was
really
a little
is.
bit of like kind of hut, 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 hut.
Oh, yeah.
It
Like
was
the end,
kinda
of, the end of Blues Brothers.
Yes.
Same with the guys like outside, like when he escapes, they're like, "You guys ready? All right, 3, oh, true."
Maybe that's why Clarice is moving up the FBI ladder. She's literally smarter than everyone else around her. There are parts of the movie I could do without, like the flashbacks to Clarice's childhood, which don't add much for me, but the suspense is relentless. It builds and builds with every scene pulling you deeper into the story. At the end of the day, this is easily one of the best thrillers ever made. It's a solid 8.25 for me now, and I'm sure on my 8th rewatch, I'll catch even more details I missed before. P.S. As someone with the last name Starling, let me share a fun tidbit. When this movie came out and I introduced myself, I would hear one of two things: Starling, like the bird, or, oh, like Agent Starling. Now add to that fact that I worked for an organization that removed skin from deceased owners for transplants. Oh, and my favorite restaurant in Hoboken was called Precious. The trifecta of eerie consequences made this movie a hit a little closer home to me. So thanks for letting me share that to a wider audience. Sincerely, Agent Starling.
Nice.
Yeah.
But 8.25 takes us to a 9.06 on our modern day ratings, which is going to slide that into 10th place.
Wow.
It's going to be right below Back to the Future, T2 Judgment Day, and it's going to be right above The Goonies, Snatch, and Reservoir Dogs is how we feel about it, guys.
Damn. All right.
So, hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for being here. It's spooky season. Next week, we are hitting Event Horizon, following that up with Nightmare on Elm Street. And if you're new to the podcast, go back
Fuck
this
you.
time last year. Scream was our episode. That was a fun, spooky season episode.
Very fun episode.
Fun seasons of spooky, veil thinning, semen throwing, shit fest here on the Confused Breakfast, guys. We're here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for hanging out with us on YouTube, checking it out, watching all the visual gags. Leave us a rating on any podcast platform that you're listening on to. All right? We appreciate it. 5 stars is always greatly appreciated. If you write and tell us why you like us so much or, well, hate us so much, we'd greatly appreciate that too, we think. And, what else do I say here, guys? We haven't done this in like 9 weeks. That's it.
ConfusedBreakfast.com. You can see the merch that we have. You can see some shirts. You can see some sweatshirts. You can see some skin shirts on there that we sell with the name on it. And you can go to ConfusedBreakfast.com as well to see the ratings of the movies that we have covered on this show. You can see our individual ratings, like AJ's, like mine, and like Mike's, or the show's ratings overall. I love you. Goodbye.
Produced by Upload Media Group in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We got Logan on the controls. He's a scary fellow over there. Learn more at uploadmediagroup.com, and we are on the Cloud 10 network. Learn more at cloud10.fm. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Have the lambs stopped screaming? My bladder has it.